Hello and welcome to another episode of Toilet Wine. Now, Dylan is not here, as you can clearly see. Unlike last time, he's not in a witch trial. He survived. I don't know if
he made it out.
I don't know if he floated properly or bobbed an apple. I don't know. But
he didn't. He neglected to tell us that, but he made it out.
Now he is on a perilous quest. He is backpacking across the city of Worcester. I know what you're thinking. That probably shouldn't take too long. But
I mean,
one of the stipulations is he has to stop at every single bar he sees and have a pint of Guinness before he goes on. So we hope he
what do you call it? Pilgrimage.
We hope he finishes his pilgrimage and can join us back on here soon. But until then, we're drinking fruit juice out of toilets.
That's absolutely right.
You motherfucker!
So, Joe, what are we talking about today?
Well, today I'm feeling like the man is pushing down on me. He's oppressing me, man. I wanted to spread my wings out a little bit here and sing the sweet songs of rebellion. Today we're talking about the history of rebellious music, and it goes back farther than you think, and probably to the dawn of time. Unfortunately, we don't have the tracks from the BC era, but we're going to talk about today different songs and different artists in history who use their art to make a rallying cry and push back against the powers that be, which I think is a really cool topic.
Yeah, I really do think it's one of those things where from the second someone made a song, they were advanced enough, they already had complaints. I'm like, well, I'm going to sing about that. I'm not going to sing about how much I love almost dying to kill an animal. I'm going to sing about how much I hate having to do that.
You're like, agriculture, we love you so much.
I mean,
I think that it is as old as, voicing your opinion. There's only so many songs people write about anyways. Number 1, love. Number 2, being hurt. And number 3 is, like, fucking pushing back, man, against the man.
Ooh.
And number 4, probably
drugs.
being blue.
Dabbo-dee, dabbo-die. Well, see, but...
Yeah, number 4 is partying.
Not a lot of songs are about how someone has a blue Corvette with blue windows, but everything is blue for him, and that's cool for him and himself and everybody around him. But he ain't got no one to listen to, so maybe we could send him some rebellious songs.
Interesting. It's also be interesting how many times we get copyright strike this episode, which is why, unfortunately, I can't play it while we're talking about it because that'll guarantee that we can't put it in.
Yeah.
But I'll try to pepper them in little moments of it. And I would also encourage our listeners and viewers, if you hadn't heard of these songs before, you've probably heard most of them, so we don't have to refresh you on them. But look them up when we hear them.
Give them a listen. Even if you already know them and you have a second device, listen to it as the podcast is going on. Or pause it and listen to the song.
Yeah. Put the podcast off, just listen to the song. It's got to be better than the podcast.
Then don't turn it back on and keep listening.
These are certified bangers.
Keep listening to Rebellion Music Greatest Hits and don't turn our podcast on ever again.
Yeah. Nothing like listening to a corporation's playlist of what they think you should be fighting the power with.
Yeah, their version of Fight the Power is the cat on the internet going, Fight the power!
Keep subscribing. Keep subscribing.
Don't forget to click that bell.
Notifications or I won't get paid. Sign up to the Patreon. We're going to fight the power by paying the banks. Yeah, no, it's not good. It's not good at all.
It's not good.
And the very fact that we're even doing this on YouTube is us, we're part of the
Yeah, you're right. We should just hang out together, write everything down and draw stuff to go with it, make our own zine, print it out, go to a library to make all the copies, and then self-distribute.
Making copies of the zine. Rob Schneider, you've often said Rob Schneider is your spirit animal, which I've pushed back on, but it's hard to say.
Well, that's because The Animal is the best movie I've ever seen.
Rob Schneider is your spirit animal. Rated PG-13.
But he's going to find out.
So much ayahuasca, buddy. The vaccine is poison. We're funny. Yeah. So I was thinking we should do it in chronological order. Yeah, it's only logical if we do it chronologically.
All right, well let's start out with this. I think the way we're mostly going to do it today is we're just going to go through a list of popular rebellion songs. Maybe some of them you didn't even realize were rebellion songs.
We should just do the classic, just bounce back and forth.
We're just talking about them.
We're gonna have a Venn diagram where we meet in the middle, but I think we just keep doing one at a time.
So as we start, let me just ask you the oldest one you have on your list. Do you know what year it came out?
I don't, but it was around the late 1700s. I'd have to imagine.
Okay, I think we have the same songs, and I have the year written down for it. So you say what it is. I think we have the same one on here.
I don't have any of the years on mine.
Okay, I do.
I only put them in chronological order by memory because I knew the first one wouldn't be.
This will be fun. This will be fun because if your list is as similar to mine as I think, we can also check to see how good you were at guessing at which songs came first.
I like it. I like that a lot. Let's do that.
Right, so what do you have down for the oldest rebellion song?
Well, I did focus on the United States of America because that's the culture I grew up in. And so I'm completely myopic in this sense. All the songs that I have on the list were maybe not released in America, but were popular enough in America that our culture had heard of them. So I don't know all the songs that could have been rebellion songs in South Africa during apartheid, or in France during the French Revolution or the Russian Revolution. Like, I don't know all those songs. I'm sure there's thousands of them we're missing, but mine are all focused on America-centric because not only have I been born and raised here in this culture, also we're the fucking best at revolution, you motherfuckers. Fuck yeah. Yeah. So you want to rip the Band-Aid off and start the first one?
Yeah, what do you have down for your oldest rebellion song?
Well, I'll go ahead and stick a feather in my cap and call it Macaroni because the earliest rebellion song I have was almost before America was a country. In fact, it was popularized before the American Revolutionary War, and that song is called Yankee Doodle Dandy.
Oh.
And that...
Gotta say...
Go. So, we all know this one. But it's not the one I just quoted.
Even think of Yankee Doodle Dandy, to be honest.
Good. Sorry, so I started that one off.
Yes, that's good.
Am I earlier or later than you?
I believe you're earlier. I'm doing Dylan right now and trying to look up when Yankee Doodle Dandy came out.
Go for it. Well, I'll vamp on Yankee Doodle in the meantime. So we're thinking of, this is the actual thing, not the Born on the 4th of July later one. We're thinking of the Yankee Doodle went to town riding on a pony, stuck a feather in his head and called it macaroni. Yankee Doodle went to town, Yankee Doodle Dandy. That whole thing. So that song is one. I love how we started this way. It's like an anti-rebellion song. It's an ironic rebellion song. So basically, the British came up with that song to make fun of American settlers for all their Yankee attitudes and be like, "Oh, these stupid Yankees! Like, look at him. He doesn't know shit. He's riding on a pony." And thinks his hat's macaroni. Yeah. Like, he's a dumb American idiot. And my favorite part about that is that the Americans were like, "That's our song now."
They
literally took it ironically. Yeah, they took back the night. They're like, we're gonna use that as our song now, and it's the same reason we embrace that idea of being called Yankees. It's like when people make fun of you, you can either push back and be hurt by it, or you can embrace it and be like, you have no power over us, and that's we turn the beat around on.
Yeah, so that song is actually written by a British soldier in 1755. So
55,
it's real
so
old.
Before the Revolutionary popped
and
off.
There are. That's like just at the quick glance I did, the most like definitive. Like that's when it started. But there's kind of, I guess, the tune itself is much older than that, but popularized with those lyrics.
Yeah, which is true for a lot of old songs. They would just switch out the words, and they would be the same tune over and over again. Like, we know how to play this one. We'll just switch the words out. There's no copyright for song lyrics at the time, so it's like
and now everything's public domain. So you can't do anything about it anyways.
There you go. Well, that was the first one on my list because that's the oldest one in America, and also it really, like I said, it happened to be a revolution song, a rebellion song before the revolution even popped off, and they co-opted it and took it for America, which I love, and it's also great hearing the flutes and the drums and the old American colonial songs, which leads me to the same concept that I didn't put on the list, but I think also ties in another song written by a British soldier. I don't know if the British soldier wrote the Yankee Doodle, but it's written by a British soldier, and America co-opted it to be their national anthem. Again, it was written about America from an outside perspective. Yeah, it was during the War of 1812, I believe. It's not during the American Revolution.
No, it was after the American Revolution,
and
for sure.
British soldiers. He was writing it about his battle he happened where they were riding in on boats to assault an American fort during 1812, and that's the whole by the dawn's early light. The whole thing. It's all about a British soldier being like, these motherfuckers, man. Like the flag is still waving.
Can you imagine you were the largest empire at the time, and you just lost to your settlers. Now only 36
in world history, also at the time.
Yeah,
it wasn't just like at the time then. It was up until that point ever. Yeah.
And then 36 years later, you go back to try to fight them again. And you're like, fuck, they're better than before.
Yeah. They did get a couple of good shots on us, like burning the White House down. They got a couple of good hits.
Yeah, but imagine the gall. The gall to be like, let's go try to get him again. Like, well, I mean, good luck.
Now we're more established. You're fucked. Yeah, we barely won the American Revolution without the help of France. But the 1812, we beat their asses after they beat our asses. But yeah, I actually love that about the national anthem. I know in the past people have brought up like, oh, we should change it because that's not as relevant to America, and that's also it's a British written song, and why should we have their song as a national anthem? I think it's one of the most American things ever to take a song written about admiring the American
and
resilience
using it for
and making it your whole national anthem. Yeah, it was much like Yankee Doodle, and that's my Yankee Doodle piece right
Doodle.
There.
Well.
Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free?
The song that I had as the oldest, which honestly is probably the most well-known song on at least my list, and I didn't know it was...
is it Beer As Good by Psycho Stick? Okay.
No. But it is good and stuff.
Sorry.
No, this song, I didn't even know it was a rebellion song until I looked into it a little bit. And I'm going to hum you the melody, see if you can tell me what it is.
Okay. Ode to Joy.
Ode to Joy, the final part of Beethoven's Ninth Symphony, came out in 1824. And it's the Ode to Joy part is actually from a poem that he put into his song. And it's all about uniting as one and being free and peaceful and having no more violence in the world at all. To the point,
nice.
And that's what at least that section, the Ode to Joy part of his Ninth Symphony, it's all about. Hey, why are we fighting? How about we all just like be really cool and hang out and have no problems? That'd be great, wouldn't it?
Let's just chill, bro. I mean, I think that's what he's saying. It's like,
and that song has been used on the Revolutionary...
I can't even fucking hear. Or is that Mozart?
No, that is Beethoven.
Pretty sure it's Beethoven.
That is Beethoven.
Beethoven can't hear.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, that song was used on the revolution side of like many, many countries over the years. Like even like as recently as like stuff in like the 90s, like in Eastern Europe.
It is a sweeping, triumphant song. The da 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 da. Like it just sounds like a triumphant like victory march song.
It's good.
I never knew that. Because I only heard the lyrics be like this. Does anyone know any song to that? I don't know. It's called "Ode to Joy" because I've heard it so.
Well, do you want to hear? Do you want to hear the lyrics in English?
Yeah. Let's hear the rebellion lyrics. In English, if you please.
In English, it is, "Oh, friends, no more these sounds. Let us sing more cheerful songs, more full of joy. Joy, bright spark of divinity, daughter of Elysium, fire-inspired we tread thy sanctuary. Thy magic power reunites all that custom has divided. All men become brothers under the sway of thy gentle wings. Whoever has created an abiding friendship or has won a true and loving wife. All who can at least one soul's there."
Weird little wrinkle.
Yeah, I think this. Well, this is
also
translated from like 1800s German.
Yeah, that's why it's so fascinating. It's that poetic, and it's not even written in English.
I like this one.
I imagine
this
it
one.
rhymes better in German.
This is a good line. All creatures drink of joy at nature's breast. Just and unjust, a taste of her gift. She gives us kisses in the fruit of the vine. A tried friend to the end. Even the worm can feel contentment, and the cherub stands before God.
Oh,
talking about
it was
boobies.
Almost good until the end.
Yeah.
No, that's good stuff. No, that's very poetic and beautiful, even translated from Old German. That's pretty great. I like that a lot. And whenever I hear that, I'm going to talk about how we all suckle at the teat of nature, even if we're a worm. It's pretty cool.
Well, the worms didn't love it. They were just content.
But I mean, even them being content is pretty impressive because their life is fucking dirt.
Awful.
They're digging the dirt now.
It's dirt.
Constant.
That's
cool. I would have never guessed that. Ode to Joy.
Very interesting.
One of the
it's definitely the most
songs.
Out of everything that I've learned researching stuff for this podcast, that is actually one of the most surprising and most enjoyable things I found out about doing this. I had no idea that song was about that.
Yeah. That's cool as hell. Yeah, no, we're probably gonna learn a lot today. My next one is obviously these moments in history that rise up are normally very tumultuous, and no one wants to write a rebellious or a song that pushes back during a time of peace and happiness and all that. Even though there's never truly peace or happiness. But my next one comes for the Civil War. So if you have something in between then,
I do not. I don't have anything until much after the Civil War.
Gotcha. So I have a song from the Civil War, again, co-opting a previous tune and just changing the lyrics, as many of these songs did back then, because everyone knew the tune already and just make their own lyrics.
Yankee Doodle
This one
Part
is
2.
called John... The Reckoning.
No, Electric Boogaloo.
Yankee Doodle 2, Electric Boogaloo.
Oh.
Yes. Electric Doodaloo. But no, this one is actually during the Civil War, and it is by the part of the Union. Of course, there is another rebellious song that the other side had that I do not dignify in this podcast because there's enough heat around that shit. And if it's rising up against the oppressors, I get how the Dixieland song would accomplish that for sure.
Yeah,
but I will.
This is a Dixie Chicks free podcast.
Yeah, this is just the Chicks. But this song is called John Brown's Body. And it's sung by the Union soldiers in order to,
he built my body.
Harken back to John Brown's hot, sexy body and his early abolitionist effort, which is always blows my mind to John Brown. I'm sure a pisser of a guy to hang out with, probably a real asshole. What he did,
I don't know how accurate the paintings of him are, but he seems like a fucking maniac.
He sounds like a real fucking asshole, but. Sometimes you need an asshole to get shit
You're
done,
an asshole.
Especially if you need to get shit done. And that's the song. It comes from the. You might be able to recognize the tune. I'm gonna read the first stanza of the lyrics. John Brown's body lies a moldering in the grave. John Brown's body lies a moldering in the grave. John Brown's body lies a moldering in the grave, but his soul is marching on.
Oh man, that has to be one of the most recognizable tunes ever. The amount of different versions of that I know is insane.
Yeah. Which was also used, obviously, many times before and after that, and is now used as one of the more famous American military songs, Glory, Glory, Hallelujah. His truth is marching on. All about God and that. But in this version of it, it's by John Brown.
There's also the Air Force version about... it's Glory, Glory, what a heck of a way to die. It's about someone jumping out of a plane, his chute not opening.
Oh, what a heck of a way to die. I mean, there's a million versions of it. They're all so good, Glory. I have to read the last stanza because it has a little more to do with his life. He captured Harper's Ferry with the 90 men so true. He frightened old Virginia till she trembled through and through. They hung him for a traitor. Hold on. They hung him for a traitor. They themselves the traitor crew, saying, "You're the traitor, not him."
Yeah.
And then, of course, his soul is marching on. So that's great. And it's easy for guys who can't read to memorize in an afternoon.
Well, exactly. That's what those everything back in the day was all about. I mean,
So I love that. I never heard that song until today, but
that is great. That's fucking awesome. The John Brown.
And it is. It's hard to say. Yeah, it's hard to say that exactly the Union is rebelling against the South, because obviously the South rebelling against Union. But the idea of hearkening to John Brown, which was a absolute rebel living in fucking Missouri during the full slavery, and being like, I'm gonna change shit right now and get some guns going. So obviously a rebellious tune from the time in America where we were still so divided, unlike now where we're all
on the same page, drinking Bud Light.
Yeah, and no states talk about seceding, and they all respect all races.
And the state that talks about it the most definitely doesn't have the weakest power grid in the country.
Even South Carolina's like, we're not going first again. It didn't work out the best last
you take the White. You take the White House this time.
You take. Well, yeah, we'll join up once we got
NASCAR now. We don't need that.
Yeah, Myrtle Beach is looking pretty nice at the time.
Man.
We have Gamecocks games to go to this fall. We can't be fucking
Gamecock. That's pretty gay.
That's pretty gay. So yeah, that's my next one. John Brown's Body.
So my next one, my next one is in the 1960s.
Oh, I have a couple between then and now. In fact, quite a few. We can. I was gonna say let's go back and forth, but if we're doing chronologically, maybe I should just
rattle and bog it up,
so we can keep our minds at different parts of American history and see what the struggles are.
Is there? Because I will say that's one of the big differences. You went into it with like, well, I want to do all the American stuff. I went into like, I'm going into what are the absolute most well known, doesn't matter where it came from things. So this will be an interesting list when it's all together.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I also, we'll get into it. But yeah, this is just how my shit goes. So I would be completely remiss, and although I don't know many of the songs, to mention one of the top rebellion songs in American history. This one's the most famous version of it, but there's probably 30, 40 of them that I don't know, and that it became the basis of American music for the next 200 years.
Girls just want to have fun.
And I'll give you a hint. It ain't fucking flutes. It ain't Yankee Doodle. It's songs what slaves would sing. Yeah. It's slave songs. So they had, you can take away my freedom, you can take away my fucking food, but you can't take away my ability to sing. And I can sing and sing, and I can find myself a new. I can lift myself to a higher plane.
Are you saying
it's a unifying force?
Sing? Oh, sorry, that's in the meantime. Not in the meantime. Fuck. I botched that. Wow, 3 songs wrong right in a row.
No, that's do 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 do. Not do 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 do.
In the mood is what I was trying to say. But even then, neither of those are sing. Fuck.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Either way,
continue the joke.
What I'm talking about is obviously African American hymnals from just living a life on the fucking plantation. All the songs they came up with. There was so many of them. Also became the basis for American blues, rock, jazz. Basically, all that shit comes from
Bluegrass,
that time period.
which leads to country. Literally everything. Yeah,
it's all
every single music genre coming out of America is all traceable back to slaves, pretty much.
Which is why slavery was ultimately.
How boring would life be if it never happened?
I mean, what would your Spotify playlist look like if we didn't have slaves?
At least,
no, it's
at
fucking
least we
insane.
can talk about this without Dylan being like, okay.
Yeah, we're kidding. Like, obviously, but I think it's amazing the resilience to be like, you're literally, your entire culture and your whole family is being enslaved, and you're like, we can still jam, fuck you guys, and our music's gonna be even better than yours, that in 100 years we're gonna be undoubtedly the height of music culture. Like, you're not even close. Like, not even close. It's the whole basis of it. All American music is traced back to that. And I want to mention, of course, one particular hymn that comes from that time, and doesn't really come into white America's, vision until 100 years later, and that's the song "We Shall Overcome," which comes from the time of slavery and was obviously utilized greatly during the Civil Rights Movement, which comes from the 1800s. Such a long tail on that thing, and people still use it as a sign of peaceful protest. Because unlike a lot of the songs that we're going to talk about in this list, I haven't seen the Look at Dumb list, but I know a lot of mine are. They're not all peaceful, hopeful.
No, they are not.
Songs. A lot of them are fuck you, and this one is more of we shall overcome someday. Deep in my heart, I know for sure that we shall overcome. You just need to carry on with hope and don't let them get to you.
Don't let the bed
bugs
fight.
I think is always a great tale for. Yeah, which is also, I think, a great note of rebellion, too. Rebellion doesn't always have to be violent opposition. It can also be, I will outlast you. I will outdo you. My hope cannot be defeated by your shit. I can still stay through here. I don't have to be vitriolic. I can just smile at you and go, you're not going to last forever. I'm going to outlast you, which I think is a great sentiment.
It's a good one. Yeah, I'm sure if I actually heard it, I would know that song. But just from hearing just the name of the song, I don't know that. I'm sure I do, though.
Yeah, it's a big protest song and stuff they'll sing. It's a classic.
It's classic. It's good stuff.
And much like the John Brown one, it's just one line.
The one line saying over
memorize
and over
one
and
line,
over and
everyone
over.
can sing it. Yeah, everyone can get it, and we're all singing it. Exactly.
Nice. All right. What do you got? What do you got next?
So my next one isn't until the 1950s, I think, or 60s. Yeah, so it's around then. So we can start going to that. Yeah, there wasn't a whole lot of rebellion going on in World War I.
No, they were like, we have industry for the first time ever. We don't need to complain about things, unless you're an immigrant, and we don't care about you enough.
Workers had even less rights than
children
now.
were still working.
Yeah, I can't afford a guitar.
That's how. That's actually what led a lot to blues music and to great blues legend Bo Diddley. His nickname is because they would make these things called diddley bows. The diddley bow.
Diddler.
No, the diddler was Bill Cosby.
Rudy, I'm Bo Diddley.
No, but a diddley bow. I actually have a couple that I made myself. All it was you just needed one guitar string, and back then, really just any metal cord, basically, or thick metal wire, and you just had you had it. Something like a barbed wire fence. You could do it off of. Be real fucking rough, but you could do it. And you get a 2x4.
Money.
You need 4 nails and a glass bottle.
You walk up behind someone with a guitar,
take the guitar,
and you take the guitar.
Leave the diddley bow, take the guitar. So you do a nail on each end, and you tie that cable as tight as you can, and you take a glass bottle and you slide it under the string. Then you use 2 more nails to keep the bottle in place, and the bottle becomes the acoustic part of it, and the string, and you use a shot glass or a glass slide over the top of it, and that's
slide it.
That was before
genius.
People could afford guitars. It was all right. Well, if you can make this sound good, then we'll save up for a guitar for you. But if you can't make this homemade instrument sound good, we're not giving you the fucking money to play guitar. And that's how a lot of the Delta blues things are. That's why the slide guitar is so popular. Because that's how it started. Yeah,
that's why the twang.
That's exactly
the twang. Yeah, that's fucking sick. It is funny how those moments of struggle and necessity can breed such great music. Not because you wanted to. If they could have dropped the Stratocaster on their laps, they'd be like, "Sure, I'll take that." But I gotta do something. So you're forced to make better music.
I can either sit at home and just wallow in pity about how terrible my life is, or I can play music and talk about it. But I'm happy when I'm doing it.
Yeah, and you can turn that suffering and turn it into something great. Not that you would ever deserve the suffering, but you can kind of throw it back at the people making you suffer and be like, "Fuck you! I'll make this into something great." Which I think it will be a running theme for every song on this list. Easily is that the oppression you're feeling, the pushback you're having, you're actually taking that fuel and you're using it to fire up your engine and make it even better than if you weren't. I mean, some songs about happy and sunshine are amazing songs. I mean, Here Comes the Sun is great, but even Here Comes the Sun is still about how shit's bad and it's going to get better.
Yeah.
That feeling, that emotion that you take out of, the suffering you might be feeling or the spot in life that you've been granted is such good fuel for the best
pretty much everything.
Music. And it sucks that people be like, actually, it's good to suffer because it actually makes for great art. It's that's kind of a shitty.
So look at it, but it is true.
But it is pretty true. Yeah, it is true. Yeah, I don't think that should be a justification.
That's
for making people suffer.
That's like whipping your sleeves and be like, just think of how good the song's going to be.
Jeez.
It's an extreme point, but yeah,
it is.
Yeah.
It's extreme, but a good.
I
as
stand
they
by.
always say. I stand by. But so yeah, my next one is Woody Guthrie.
I do not have any Woody Guthrie on here. What song is that though? Is it This Land Is Your Land? Solid song. No. You can go. I got up until 64, 66.
Gotcha. So Woody Guthrie, I don't think it's
1944.
It's like later 50s.
Yeah.
It's 44. Holy shit! I thought it was later than that. Okay, so I'm glad you looked it up for me. Thank you. So yeah, that song, which obviously is preached to you as a kid, because we grew up, in the 90s and into the 2000s as like, this is a great American song. This land is your land. This land is mine. Like, it's all like, oh, we're all happy and fun. He wrote the song in opposition to God Bless America, to be like, at that time, even in, the world era in the United States of America, it's mostly like, God bless America. America's so great. And he's like, yeah, for you. Like, most of us are fucking, it sucks, dude.
1944,
so the whole song,
like, less than half the country had running water.
yeah, exactly. And meanwhile, we're building tanks and shit, But there's all kinds of great lyrics in it besides the part you hear when they want you to sing as a kid and be like, okay, this is the fun part where it's like, oh, America's so great, America's so awesome. But yeah, there's all kinds of lines like I came up to your fence, it said I'm not welcome, and I hopped the fence. It's all shit about like why is this land your land and not ours? Like we all deserve it together. We all live here. And his sentiment, of course, in 1944, you can't be like, fuck the police, fuck. Like, you gotta be more cute about it, or they won't listen to you. But it's more like a subversive, like, I'm singing to you like America's beautiful, but it's kind of like the Bruce Springsteen song I talked about the other night. I don't want to blow up anyone's spot, but like, it sounds like it's a rah-rah song, but if you listen to the lyrics, you're like, oh, it's about like how it's not equally divided, and it should be. Yeah, so I love that. Woody Guthrie, it was maybe one of the first, definitely one of the biggest in the 20th century of like counterculture icons that led the way for a lot of other things I'm going to talk about in this podcast. It's
kind of interesting, like, to see how these songs all started. It's like, obviously, it started out marching songs, and it's a symphony. This is folk music.
Yeah,
an extremely unpopular type of music right now. But they were like some of the first to rebel. They were like, well, I'm just gonna sing this song that is not like technically considered sounding good.
Big band swing. Yeah. I mean, it's the same thing as the diddly bow, where you don't need 40 French horns and trumpets and a tuxedo and a microphone on stage. You can just play a guitar on your porch and do "This land is your land" and come up with your own ideas. And that's where the real, as much as I love big band music, it's more of like a fun, like, here we go, we're all partying now, not like a true slice of American life, which "This Land Is Your Land"
And fun fact about good old Woody Guthrie is it is Woody.
His name's Woody, which is great.
And one of the I would consider the most notable is Arlo Guthrie, who wrote and his extremely popular Thanksgiving song "Alice's Restaurant" is Woody.
No
Woody Guthrie's
shit,
son.
that's Woody Guthrie's son.
No, although Arlo was born in Brooklyn, he's lived most of his life in Stockbridge, Massachusetts. In fact, the restaurant he talks about,
that's a for sure folk legend.
Alice's Restaurant is in Stockbridge, Massachusetts.
And where is that?
Do you know?
Yeah, I should figure. I've never been there.
West Rapscallion. Remember Rapscallion used to be north of that.
Yeah. Okay, nice. Because I would like to do a live podcast at Alice's Restaurant.
That would be a good one.
And by that I mean put our phones on the table and order coffee and talk shit for half an hour.
Only a half an hour. We'll have to do it in multiple places.
In Alice's Restaurant. Well, how long can we drink coffee?
I'm not going to
You
drink
and I
any
are
of it.
really that kind of guy.
I might down a couple creamers.
I'm not drinking any of it. Well, you know.
All right, we'll order
We all have
breakfast.
different
I'll take
ideas
your
on how
eggs,
much we like creaming.
and we'll have a good time.
I'll take your Corfy. So yeah, do you want to use that as a line of demarcation before we make it to the? I mean, after we're into the 50s, we're into the American counterculture movement, man, where the rebellious songs really blast off, as far as popularity and absolute
Bang, bang, bang.
bangability. Bang, bang into your mouth. You know you want it. So let's take our first commercial break, and then we'll get into
Let's do
songs you've heard of, listeners.
Ah, man, that was
Welcome
so
back to
funny.
your
I bet
mom's
you
favorite
guys wish that
podcast.
you heard that.
Toilet Wine is back again.
We are
Oh my
back, and we
On.
are drinking our wine that we made ourselves in ye old porcelain bowl. I think that's the second time I said porcelain bowl in reference to toilet wine tonight. But we're back. We're talking about rebellion songs, and we finally made our way into the 1960s, which is
Now people have televisions.
it's
Whoa!
it's probably what people would think of as the start of the rebellion music, even though, as we've proved, it's been around for hundreds of years, but was never as popular
course.
as the stuff now.
Yeah, and a major shift in American culture that rebellious music was popular, not just an underground subversive
Yes.
kind of idea, or a popular song that had all of its lyrics coded in sarcasm to really get it going. But here we go.
Now, my first song from the 60s, I'm sure there are other ones that are earlier in the 60s than this one.
We're missing literally thousands, but we're just going to go to the ones we
But I think this is going to be so far, and that is an actual like recorded song, not just like, oh, everyone knows that tune.
Sure.
And that is For What It's Worth by Buffalo Springfield, 1966.
Nice.
That's the Something's Happening Here. Great song. It's
yeah, and direct response to what's going on.
something I just learned tonight about that song is it's actually, everyone always thinks like, oh, that's a Vietnam thing. It's actually not an anti-war song.
But it's during the time of Vietnam, so they'll use it.
They used it for that, but it was actually about riots that happened on the Sunset Strip in the mid '60s. So it is against
Upheaval.
oppression song.
Yeah.
Also, I think it's something people forget about a lot. It's written by Stephen Stills, who 2 years later joined Crosby. They made Crosby, Stills and Nash.
Oh, that's the Stills.
He's the Stills. He's the singer from Buffalo Springfield. That was his first band.
No shit. Well, that song is obviously great. And we definitely can't use that in the video.
Oh,
'cause it's definitely
absolutely
copyrighted to all
not.
hell. That's why we're using our voices to sing it for you guys. You guys all know the stop. What's that sound?
Everybody look what's going down. I think it's interesting. I mean, reading some of these lyrics, as much as it's like for everything, as much as you think you know the words to a song, until you sit down and look at it, you're like, oh, I could have sworn he was saying that. But these are the first four lines of Something's Happening. I mean, For What It's Worth. Always confusing because that's not the main part of the song is saying For What It's Worth.
Sure, yeah.
There's something happening here, but what it is ain't exactly clear. There's a man with a gun over there telling me I got to beware. So that's it's just,
I actually did know that.
when
part.
you look at just feeling like, oh, well, it's about riots. It's like, yeah, we're talking armed cops in the street going, keep moving. You're like, I'm not doing anything. They're like, just get out of here. You don't want to stay here. You don't want me
see
near
this.
because I'm going to be mad. I'm going to do something bad.
Dewey, you don't want any part of this.
Well, I mean, I don't want to get addicted. It's not addictive.
And that's the thing. But yeah, that's a great one, Dom. Yeah, For What It's Worth, for sure. Yeah, and it had not to be like all Vietnam based. Like it's hometown, homegrown shit.
Yeah, just now often mislabeled, I would say, as the Vietnam thing, which neither of us knew until today.
Well, exactly. Well, that's also used, during the time of upheaval. People are in Vietnam, but in America, it's just tumultuous as hell, which is the next 20 songs we're going to talk about. This podcast is going to be 5 hours. It's all Vietnam era shit, where it's like people are finally have the access to radio on a global scale. People have televisions now. Like the media is getting out there. It's not just a state-run organization anymore, although there's only a slight number of corporations that lets you do it. If you can rock out enough and enough young people want to listen to your music, same as today, you can get on the radio.
You can do it.
Buffalo Springfield can get on the radio, and you rock out with that shit. And of course, another member of the future band Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young has another great protest song, which we might get into. I don't know if you had that one on your list.
I do not. I tried to cover a lot of ground, and I only have about 2 or 3 songs per decade.
That's good. That's what I have too. But then I started packing them in.
Let me begin. That's what I wanted to talk about. I came to win. I don't mean that's a sin.
Get up, stand up. But mine actually, I think it happened a couple of years earlier than that. Or it happened concurrently, but it is again a folk song and not a rock song. And this is by Phil Oakes, and it's a song called "Love Me, I'm a Liberal." So I think it actually was concurrent Buffalo Springfield, but it's much on the lines of Woody Guthrie playing the guitar and just singing a song. It's a one-man band, just being the one guy. But I love this song, and I used to have it on my iPod actually because I learned it when I was in college. And it's another thing
when education made you a goddamn liberal.
Well, literally one of the classes I had of the few I did get to partake in was the history of America in the 1960s. We did like
sweet.
A whole semester on just the 60s, and I was like, this class rules.
So,
one of my favorite
Love
classes.
Me, I'm a Liberal, also 1966, same exact year, as for what it's worth.
So perfect, same exact year. So, the whole conceit of the song is that liberalism at the time was kind of like it's different. It was almost like you're saying I'm a Democrat or I'm a Republican, like the left and right. Because now liberalism is considered like radical, like you're a lib, like you're really far to the left, or like you're an alt right, you're really far to the right. But at the time, being a liberal, saying you're a liberal, is mostly saying like, oh, I'm a Democrat, like I care about this policy, that policy. So they considered themselves, a lot of people who were writing these songs, he wouldn't call himself a liberal, he called himself a radical leftist. So he would say, liberals don't go far enough. They just smile and wave. They're like Bill Clinton. They're like, Joe Biden liberals. They're like, I'm just liberal enough to get the votes, but I don't actually want to do any of that shit. I still love war and I love money and all that stuff. So the whole entire conceit of the sign is like, it's saying from the perspective of a liberal and saying like, I care about you folks, you oppressed folks, but let's not go too crazy. And it's a great tune. Like I'll just read you the first stanza to give you a little a taste of it. I cried when they shot Medgar Evers. Black kid who was shot. Tears ran down my spine. I cried when they shot Mr. Kennedy, as though I'd lost a father of mine. But Malcolm X got what was coming. He got what he asked for this time. So love me, love me, love me. I'm a liberal. Basically, the idea is like, if an innocent kid gets shot, that's bad. If John F. Kennedy gets shot, that's bad. But if a man who's against the American government, rising for the race of black people, gets shot, well, you had it coming.
Yeah.
like let's not get too uppity. And that's, I'm not going to sing you the whole lyrics, but that's basically the conceit of the whole song, where it's like, I can do all the shit that makes me nice and go to my country club, but I can't be associated with like actual radicalism. That's too far. I still want to be able to afford my mortgage. I can't have these colored people rising up too much. I mean, you can't shoot the kids, but Malcolm X, no, he deserved what he had. Yeah, so I love that. The whole thing, and it's a fucking middle-aged white guy jamming out saying, "I'm a liberal, aren't I great?" and he's being sarcastic. So I love that song.
That's another one that I don't know if I actually have ever heard that one before.
I read this one too. I vote for the Democratic Party. They want the UN to be strong. I go to all the Pete Seeger concerts. He sure gets me singing those songs. I'll send you the money you ask for, but don't ask me to come on along. So again, I'll pay you, but I don't want to actually be part of all this riff-raff.
Well, also, it is very interesting.
It's a little too gross for me.
Because this is 1966. Famously, the Democratic and Republican parties switched views in the 50s. So this is very, very early into liberal meaning Democrat, where before liberal would mean Republican. which may add to the sarcasm in the song, but he's still like, it's a good point though.
Yeah. Exactly. And his main point is that, like, you putting a color pin on doesn't make you part of the cause. And in fact, it makes you a leech.
Make you a bitch.
You a bitch. Anyways, Phil Ochs, worth a mention.
So my next one, this is, without a doubt, this is the instantaneous when you think rebellious song. So everyone thinks of 1969, "Fortunate Son" by Creedence Clearwater Revival.
It ain't me.
Everyone always thinks of that. That's
sure.
the most affiliated song to Vietnam I could ever think of. Every single clip has it, to the point where it's a joke now to put that into Vietnam stuff.
Yeah, it's too much. Yeah. It's become a cliche.
Yes, but it is still a great song. Creedence Clearwater Revival, interestingly enough, not from the South. They're from California, but became a Southern rock band, and they were great at it.
Nothing wrong with that. The Beach Boys are from Middle America. You can be.
Well, you can have a lake beach. It doesn't have to be on the ocean. There's no swamps in Louisiana. I mean, fuck, in Los Angeles.
There's not a lot of surfing and lakes, though.
Well, I mean, you're saying they didn't go to Jamaica, Bahama, they didn't go to Pretty Mama.
That was in the 80s. That was after they lost Brian Wilson. But no, I think "Fortunate Son" is a great example of this because not only is it a counterculture song and a song of rebellion, it was a a number one Billboard hit. Like it was famous.
Yeah.
Like Phil Ochs, Woody Guthrie was a song that got famous through culture. Phil Ochs, and even Buffalo Springfield, I'm sure was pretty high on the list. But like "Fortunate Son" was like a designated
absolute
hit that made the band famous. And I mean, obviously it's an amazing song, but also the lyrics were literally like, "Fuck you, U.S. government, bring our boys home." Well, that's pretty amazing. Even now, even in 2023, when you write songs like that, people are like, "That's no, dude, don't do that.
You're bringing problems on yourself. Don't even bother."
And don't get us wrong, they felt that pressure at the time too. Especially
in
Richard Nixon. Good fucking luck.
Well, that's the thing. That's one of the main things the song is about. Actually, that I didn't realize is about Dwight Eisenhower's grandson marrying Richard Nixon's daughter. And that's why there's like.
That should be considered incest. If presidents marry it's like a royal family, that should be considered. That should be illegal. That's incest.
That's the whole song. Like, this guy married the president's daughter, so now automatically, he doesn't have to fight in the war. But us blue collar guys, like, I ain't no senator's son. I ain't no millionaire's son.
I ain't no senator's son. Yeah,
that's real. That's not even like it's almost like they're not even protesting the war itself. It's the way they're picking people to go to war. It's like, why do I have to go? Why are you just picking? How come you're letting that person skip it, but I can't? Just because his father owns Macy's, he doesn't have to go.
Exactly. If you have enough money, you never have to be a foot soldier. That's the deal. That's why nowadays, when there's no conscription and people are like, "I don't care that my father is rich. I'm going to go to war anyways." I don't even respect them for it. I just go, "Oh, so you had your way out.
So you just want to kill people.
You're twice as dumb." or you want to die for glory, whatever. But, the whole idea of John F. Kennedy's kids, or his family's kids getting into war, it's like, you've been rich for so many years that it's like, it's no point even doing it. But yeah, definitely a great pull on that one. Which brings me to another song, a Sam Cooke song around the same time, which is "A Change Is Gonna Come," which one of our favorite bands covered, called Greta Van Fleet.
Marlo's band.
And that's another song. It's not about as much as anti-war as it is more like the first song, Buffalo Springfield song, which is that we need a civil rights movement change here, and it's more hopeful and less aggressive and rebelliatory. But the change is going to come. I mean, we have to believe that's going to happen. We have to be resilient and have fortitude to get through this. Which I've heard a couple of covers of it since, because I didn't know it was a cover when Greta Van Fleet.
Yeah, me neither.
I had to look back and see that Sam Cooke did it, but it makes way more sense of a black guy in the 60s
saying it, than
white kids in 2019
from Michigan.
It's no doubt a good song. Yeah. but it is a good tune.
Yeah, but a change is going to come.
Coming from the perspective of someone who is not upset they have to go to Vietnam. They're upset because they live at home and they're still getting their shit fucked up.
I'm going to get my shit rocked.
I mean, Creedence had every right to complain about that, but at least they could drink at the same water fountain and go to restaurants. But in their same town, people who were the same age as them couldn't even do that. So it's worth mentioning.
Well, don't do that.
Well,
yeah,
I mean
that is a great song.
Yeah.
So what I have next is branching into 1973.
Hell yeah.
And I think everyone's going to know this one. It is Get Up, Stand Up by Bob Marley and the Wailers.
Hell yeah. I obviously had him on my list there, lighting it up. That's why my name is Mob Barley right now.
It is really good. It is really good. It's not...
Oh, and Dom is either Dr. Nips or Dr. Nips. In both ways, it's funny.
Well, I mean...
And if you guys don't know what I mean by the intonation, that's on you.
We're not going to explain it. You don't know me. You're not God.
I don't have time for that. I find that offensive as a ginger that you'd bring that up.
What a ginge. Yeah, I mean, Get Up, Stand Up. It's just straight up a song against oppression.
It's that lyrics you cannot. It's not sarcastic. It's just like literally. You have to stand up
in a happy way, but I'm pretty fucking pissed off about this.
Yeah, reggae happens to be not an aggressive music form, but the lyrics they do the work for them. Yeah, don't give up the fight. Stand up for your rights.
To party.
And the Beastie Boys, yeah, they quoted that. Yeah. I know your rights to vote or to own a home, but also to party. We should stand up for our rights.
There's an even bigger band than the Beastie Boys that took some lyrics from this song.
I don't believe you. I already don't believe you because there's no bigger band than the Beastie Boys, but I'll go on your false premise on this journey.
Well, in All Star by Smash Mouth.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
There are the lines, all that glitters is gold, and there is a line in Get Up, Stand Up. He said all that glitters is gold. So, All Star is a great song because they referenced Get Up, Stand Up by Bob Marley.
I hear you. I do hear you. But it's almost like a bird in the hand's worth two in the bush. It's a common phrase. Like, Bob Marley didn't come up with that phrase, you know.
No.
But he made it famous.
No, he made it.
I can hear that. Oh, okay. Well, I don't know.
Well, actually,
I'm just here.
Someone else said it. It literally says this in the lyric. He said, all glitters is gold. So that guy invented it.
Oh, yeah. Well, there you go. Yeah, it's already a popular phrase. But yeah, Bob Marley we could not talk about this subject without at least bringing him up in his rebellion against, authority. And it ultimately killed him when the CIA poisoned him.
They poisoned his weed.
That's that chronic. No, what actually killed him is that he didn't believe in doctors, so he died like Jim Henson style.
Jim Henson?
He would have died anyway, but he did not go to the hospital at all. He just smoked.
Oh,
weed.
you have.
I can't hate on him.
Yeah,
for.
But I mean, come on.
Would you rather smoke weed for 3 months and die, or do chemotherapy for 2 years and die? I don't know. It's hard. It's a hard choice. I'm not saying it's an easy choice, but I'm saying it's not totally.
The choice is yours.
Foregone conclusion. Yeah.
So yeah, that was the first time we finally both had the same song written down.
Mm-hmm.
So,
my next one, I'm jumping past I don't actually know when the song came out, but I'm talking.
That's right.
I'm
we don't. Okay.
Song, so I'm gonna let you. I would like you to lead off the punk section because this is your forte, Will.
It is my Will forte. So if your next one is punk, so let me do one, and then after that, I'll start off with the earliest punk one I have. So my next one is 1974. This song came out, and this is another one where, until I looked into this, obviously, I was like, oh yeah, that's totally what that song is, but I never even.
Oh shit! I have one more.
Right, yeah.
Okay, good. I thought of one already.
This song where I just. Sorry. It's a great song. I love it, but I don't hear it that often, so I forget about it a lot. And I was like, oh, that's a great fucking song. And it's Rebel Rebel by David Bowie.
Oh yeah, fuck yeah, dude.
1974,
yeah,
and this one has.
So that was in 74. I always forget how long
been
David Bowie was doing the game.
This is an interesting one for what it's rebelling against, because one of the main things about it is it's like if we look at the lyrics, one of the first ones is do 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 do. Oh, that's just him singing. It's you've got you've got your mother in a whirl. She's not sure if you're a boy or a girl. Hey babe, your hair's all right. Hey babe, let's go out tonight. It's about a girl dressing like whatever the time. I don't even know how to describe that kind of like short hair.
I would say androgynous.
Yeah, that's a good word for it.
Yeah,
like I'm not wearing your stereotypical.
Now we would call that non-binary, but androgynous always sounds more fun for me because it's less politically motivated and more of a descriptor.
Yeah, and it's all about this girl being a rebel against what her parents want her to do. And she's happy. She's got a boyfriend. She likes hanging out with him, but she cuts her hair short. She's wearing different clothing. She's wearing pants.
And she's hot tramp.
Yeah, don't you? Hot tramp. I love you so. I mean, it's great.
Oh, tramp. Yeah,
I mean,
no, I love that too because we should not neglect all rebellion songs. Don't have to be fucking you against the monoculture or against corporations, society. It can just be rebelling against the world, being a kid. Like it's just part of being a kid is just wanting to rebel against the world. And a huge part of being a rebel against the world when you're a kid is listening to music that tells you it's okay to fight back against your fucking parents or whatever. It doesn't have to be you against globalist ideals. Like it can be just like, hey, I don't care how I dress or how I cut my hair. You can't fucking tell me what to do, man. That's awesome.
It was good. And right before you go, I just want to touch on this one thing I forgot to throw in a little bit earlier. 1967, we talked about it a little bit. Alice's Restaurant by Arlo Guthrie is actually an anti-Vietnam song. It just takes about 12 minutes into the song for him to start talking about it. He does the whole intro, and he goes, "That's not why I'm here to talk to you, though. We're here to talk about the draft."
Now you know why I'm qualified to tell this tale. That's awesome. Yeah, no, I definitely neglected that idea. All the songs I picked were all like rebellion against, the powers that be, and not against like, I didn't put in as a spoiler. I did not put in "Parents Just Don't Understand" by Will Smith. Like that should be a rebellion song. It is, and so many songs are, like that. But I thought that's great to bring up. But that reminded me earlier talking about Stills is the Neil Young song that came around after the Ohio massacre, which obviously by today's standards, if only 4 people die, they don't consider that a massacre anymore. Yeah. You have to kill at least 20 children to be a mass shooting. But yeah, that happened. It was that protest in Ohio at the I don't remember what university it was, but it was a university in Ohio. And the National Guard came in and they started blasting, and they killed 4 fucking teenagers. Blasting. And that's what his song's about. Yeah, 4 dead in Ohio.
Yeah, I never even put 2 and 2 together for that. 4 dead in Ohio.
Yeah, things running and government's coming. We're finally on our own. 4 dead in Ohio. Yeah, that's about the killing of protesters.
And Neil Young, he's fucking good, man. He is good. I'm not a huge fan of that kind of thing.
Southern Man is another great rebellion song. Obviously, it's about civil rights, more about the 1800s.
Yeah, so he actually digs on Leonard Skinner in that song a little bit, and that's why in Sweet Home Alabama, they say they rag on Neil Young in Sweet Home Alabama.
A Southern Man. Yeah, anyhow. Yeah.
They go, and Neil Young
can't remember. Though, but I had to mention
the Southern Man don't care anyhow.
That's what it is. Southern Man don't care anyhow. Yeah. Yeah, we don't care about that. Also, we're not black. We know. Of course, you don't care. As they say, bankers don't care about foreclosures. Like, it turns out Bank of America doesn't care that you lost your house. Diddle, and it's like, no, we know that. That's why we're singing the song, you fuck shit. Sorry about the language. But yeah, it's
you fuck shit. That's a good one.
So yeah, I was going to move into more of the punk scene. after that. We can obviously spend
just punk stuff.
Doing, 1960s. Oh, I was gonna say Vietnam era rebellion, and we could do a whole other podcast on just punk, the early punk, not even later punk. But we're doing this more of a broad strokes thing. It's a toilet wine. It isn't a fucking podcast series.
All right, so I'll get
into punk, which is the ultimate rebellion music, because literally the only reason for its rebellion. David Bowie isn't a punk, and Buffalo Springfield isn't punk, but punk takes the concept of rebel music and makes it the forefront rather than
they really bring it into their personal lives. It's not always like this country's fucked up. It's like it comes stage. Down to I don't like my high school, like some like the real early fucking East Bay punk.
It's rebellion in its truest
sense. It was mostly high schoolers and college kids. That's how it all started. They were like, "Well, I fucking hate this." And so many bands, they didn't make it into their 20s because they were like, "Oh, I actually have to go get a job. I can't make a living off of being mad at the world." But eventually, it did catch on enough for people to do it.
Talk to Gary Jules.
I don't know who that is.
Oh, he did the cover of Tears for Fears. Mad World.
Tears for Fears. So the earliest punk one I have, and you probably don't have this because you're sticking on more American themes. But this is 1977 with the Sex Pistols and God Save the Queen.
Of course I had to. Come on, man. Come on, man. I had to put this one on here. That's an all-timer. All-timer. Please tell me about it, because I had it on my list Sex Pistols. Sure. That's actually my first one I had on the transition from the Vietnam to this. I was like, God Save the Queen. Sex Pistols, obviously.
Sex Pistols. They actually only ever had one album.
First of all, their name is Rebellion. Their name's the Sex Pistols. At the time, that's enough to be like, we are pissed.
Oh, a lot of drugs.
Their British sensibilities are quite offended.
This is what started off the whole, I'm going to cut my sleeves off and then safety pin them back on. I'm going to wear studs. I'm going to spike my hair. I'm going to color my hair. I'm going to shave the side of my head.
I'm going to make my dad so fucking mad. He's wearing a sweater, and he's a pale comb-over fat British guy eating fish and chips, and I'm like, fuck you and fuck the Queen.
Yeah, I mean, literally, and they come right out of the fucking gate with God Save the Queen. God Save the Queen, the fascist regime, they made you a moron, a potential H-bomb. He's really ragging on the Queen there.
Subtext is now out the window. Punk, it was like, let's not get cute about it. We're just going to straight up say it, and we're going to play music loud and fast.
The royal family already doesn't have any power. They're just public figures at this point, like they are now, pretty much. And they're just going, money, hey, though, you're making sort of decisions, or you're doing all this stuff. What are you doing? We don't want you here. You're not doing anything. This isn't even an anti-parliament thing. This is like the equivalent of making a song about a president's wife. It's like, well, I know you have no real power, but I fucking hate what you're doing.
Yeah, but the president's wife doesn't command $500 million every year of taxpayer money. So it's a little bit different. But I hear your idea. As far as power goes, it's the same. But as far as the people having to donate to this thing,
awful.
I mean, people who pay the president's wife and the president are corporations lobbying. We don't pay the president that much money. But people pay the royal family a shit ton of money, and they hold on to it for
and they have so much fucking property in these crazy buildings.
Dude, maybe this is an American notion, but every time the royal family goes up, I'm like, what? How is no one overthrowing?
They're all fucking obsessed with it. It's crazy.
They tie it to their national identity, the idea of being under a monarchy, which is fucking gross. I mean, they abolished slavery before America. They had parliament in the fucking 1600s. Yeah. Like, they were like way ahead of the game. They're like, nope, keep the queen and king forever. I mean, they should be fucking embarrassed in my mind. Every time the coronation of King Charles just happened, probably cost the country at least, $300 million just for the event. Never mind everything going around it, the security, whatever money they earned by having people pay taxes.
Not to
when
mention,
they're buying stuff,
they're
little flags and stuff.
All of their money now to have him on it because Queen Elizabeth is dead.
Yep, that's going to cost you. It's going to cost you money to change your money, And meanwhile, the fucking guy's fucking son was fucking girls on Epstein's Island, and they're like, "I go away." His nephew is in America, and they're all mad about this shit. I mean, it's all awful. It should all be so embarrassing, man. Like, there's only like we came up with this in a podcast when me and Dylan did about the monarchy. It was when the Queen died. We did an episode on it, and we named countries that still have monarchies, and it is embarrassing as fuck. Because there's like 10 of them that are like Saudi Arabia, okay, shit like that are super rich countries that just ideologically are shackled. But it's like Sweden still has like one of those socialist countries, like they places still have kids, like, oh, we like it. It's like, we don't like it. Overthrow them. And that's why I feel like it's an American idea to hate monarchy, but like,
yeah, that's our whole identity.
The fact that you still
have
have
we
royalty
broke away from a monarchy,
just means
pretty much. That's all. So
yeah, so that's probably my American idea of it. But in my mind, the idea that in the 21st century you have royalty, which means that people are born better than you for the very fact that their dad jizzed in their mom, should make you pissed. Why are they better than you just because of that? And they get treated differently, and they have different... They are just entitled to your respect, all your honor, money. Your land, your money. It's fucking insane. People should be pissed about this. They're like, yeah, I like it. It's a nice thing we have.
The royal family that every time someone mentions it, I fight not to say this. Even though, like, I know I've told my mom this 37 times.
Oh, yeah. Middle-aged ladies love the royal family, by the way. They think it's fucking Cinderella. I love Diana.
They're German. They changed their name. They changed their name during World War II.
They're the Habsburgs.
What is it now? Winchester or something like that? Windsor.
They're like, they didn't have to a British city
right now. Or we'll lose everything.
We do British now and loud. Yeah, it's true. I just think people should be, to quote Sebastian Maniscalco, the comedian, aren't you embarrassed? You should be embarrassed. You should be embarrassed of it. And I think it's fucking stupid that people worship these people still. I mean, just be like America and worship people who sing well, not people who get busted in. We have our own royalty, and it's Instagram models, okay?
Okay. Anyway.
That's my thing.
So that is Sex Pistols right there.
I hate worshiping celebrities too, but at least some of them have talent. I haven't seen Queen Elizabeth.
They're not getting they're getting the money because I decided to go to the movie theater, not because
they were always just there.
Not because I'm legally required to give them money.
Yeah, you should get to choose your royalty,
and you'll lower me royals, something that Lord says. I am Lord.
Yeah.
All right, what do you got next?
All right.
Yep.
Am I next? Well, I have another band that is pretty famous in that scene, and it's a little song called "Holiday in Cambodia" by the Dead Kennedys. And this, you might think, is a little bit about, Vietnam-style shit. Obviously, it came from that tumultuous period where the West shook up Southeast Asia to the core, but it's actually about the discrepancies in genocide of Pol Pot, who it's one of the most interesting genocides, because even though it is largely forgotten because it didn't affect the Western world as much as any other genocide, like any genocide like Rwanda or Armenian. It's like, well, it's not us. So I didn't see it happen in World War II, or I didn't see it happen in XYZ. People like to, mention China, the genocide of Chinese people by Japan. Of course, those ones are more affect us because it's part of our culture. But Pol Pot was a complete fucking piece of shit and literally flipped his nation upside down and ruined it for his own power. The idea was smart people are bad and stupid people are good. So let's kill all the smart people, and then we'll be fine. It's taking that idea of blue collar and rising it up so much that you destroy your nation for 100 years, and people are still like, oh, poor Cambodia. Poor Cambodia? You're a fucking dictator killing smart people. That's what you fucking get.
You just set yourself
That's what you get.
Hundreds of years.
Of course, it's the idea. People are like, I don't want to hear all your science bullshit. It's like, do you know what happens? You don't want to hear science bullshit. You fucking become Cambodia.
You go back to the fucking Dark Ages,
years.
basically.
And I would. Exactly. And I'm not blaming the Cambodian people for this. Obviously, the guy was a fucking monster. But I get to the point where he was killing people who had glasses.
Glasses makes you smart.
Because it meant you're smart.
Everyone knows that.
Yeah, that's the idea. Millions of people were killed for being the intellectual class. So if you want to vote for a leader who's going to kill the smarties, and then your entire country turns into shit for the next 100 years,
well, at least
I'm sorry.
At least if he takes all the smarties, there's plenty of better candy to go around.
I knew you were going to say that's why I talked over you. Anyways, I know that a part of why he came to power is because America and France were up in there jostling the shit up and fucking their shit up. I'm not blaming the Cambodian people for Pol Pot, but you have to admit, your grandfather voted for him, and he's a piece of shit. Okay. The Killing Fields. Look that
Pol
up.
Pot him.
Moving on. Holiday in Cambodia. Wouldn't recommend it.
Ted Kennedy's.
Great song,
band. Yeah, that song was 1979. They're another one of those bands where you're like, really, they've been around that long? And they have. It was very older than you think.
I shouldn't say.
It's not older than I think.
I didn't mean to say older than Dom thinks. I'm saying older than
the
common
the
person.
The next one I have been jumping for a few years, and I actually stay away from punk a little bit just because I don't need to write it down. I already know enough about it. I already got the information there if it comes up.
Brag.
You say bribe? I'm not bribing anyone.
BRAG.
And I just typed in bribe while I was trying to type in something else because that's what I was talking about.
I love the old talking while you're typing thing. Your brain's like, I don't know this.
I don't know. Moths. Yeah, so my next song, 1984, is Bruce Springsteen's Born in the USA, which we were talking about last week.
There you go. That's why I'm glad. I didn't want to blow my load earlier. I just wanted to kind of allude to it.
We were talking about last week about
great pick. Let's hear about
what
it.
we were saying is how often people don't understand what songs are about. In a specific case where a politician was trying to use Born in the USA as their campaign song, and Bruce Springsteen told them, you don't have permission to use the song. If you use it, you will get charged, fined for it. And because this is not a pro-USA song. This is full-on anti-Vietnam War.
But it's like this land is your land. People are like, on the surface, this sounds like a rah-rah,
shish ready to drop bombs, but he keeps on forgetting when he wrote down the whole world's gross to laugh at me.
Mom spaghetti. But yeah, it's like, that's how they subvert you.
Yeah.
It's great. It's subtext. And the dummies just listen to it and they go,
and this song works out perfectly, almost 20 years after the first Vietnam songs we were talking about.
Yeah, it turns out he'd be doing a podcast with the president. Who would have guessed that? That's America for you. The guy writes an anti-USA song and does a podcast with the president.
But this isn't Vietnam War is bad, because it's already over. This is hey, you know all those people you fucked over in Vietnam by sending them there? Now they're back here, and you're doing nothing for them?
They live here now.
Okay, so now, not only was that war fucked up.
They're fucked over.
You doing nothing for them now is just as fucked up as what you were doing over there. That's what this whole fucking song is about.
Absolutely. But luckily, after that song came out, they never, they changed their whole mentality, and now veterans are treated very well when they come back from war. Oh, wait.
Fuck. Yeah, and I was saying, I'm not the biggest Bruce Springsteen song, but this song is a certified banger.
I don't even like him, but I like his gumption.
It's a good burp. You like that burp? I like it. I like it a lot.
I'm not going to call him the boss, but I like it. I like it.
He did
kind of his jib.
He did.
I'll never go to a show of his.
He did.
But it doesn't mean I don't love what he stands for.
A couple days ago, he's fine. No, well, he's
not
74.
Dead, he's not fine.
He's an old fuck.
Yeah, so he's probably barely able to walk now, but you know. But he does do a lot of exercise.
Oh, yeah.
Those frontmen, those bands,
he's in his 70s. He still consistently does 3-hour shows.
Yeah,
that's Jimmy Buffett
the
does it too.
cardio is out of control, I'm sure, for him.
3-hour shows, and he's in his 70s.
Well, Jimmy Buffett, I think, moves around a little bit less than Bruce, but
I don't think Bruce is doing tequila shots.
The fortitude
wine
is
out of a solo cup before the show.
Well, there's the thing. Yeah, Bruce is like running around.
Jimmy Buffett's like, I'm fucking stoned right now. I've been smoking weed for 60 years.
Like, I can still stay for 3 hours. Yeah, and I'm drinking. Jimmy Buffett again. Jimmy Buffett's much like Bruce Springsteen, where I don't like his music. I don't want to go to his concert, but I love that he exists,
he's fucking great.
And I like what he stands for. So I agree with that. I don't have to be a fan of someone to be glad they exist.
You're glad I exist, and you're certainly not a fan of me. Dominic.
No, Dominic.
Yeah.
I'm a fan.
Wallace is
actually, I am a fan.
A dresser drawer upstairs. He really likes it in there.
Yeah, he'll be there until you say his name backwards and send him back to the dimension.
Oh, we don't want that to happen. That will only make him stronger. Like in a Blazing Saddles,
he'll come back
Mongo
and better than
brings
ever.
the gun. Like, no, don't do that. You'll only make him angry.
Yeah. You'll only make him angry. You wouldn't like him when he's angry. So the song I was going to do next, I thought actually would have happened after Born in the USA.
84.
You said that was 76? 84! Good God! In my head, this is like... Okay, I would have guessed this was like 79, 80. That's actually 75. And that's a band that I don't usually think of when it comes to countercultural songs, but half of their catalog is. And that's Pink Floyd's song, Welcome to the Machine, which isn't a direct rebellion to a particular government or a political
society,
stance, but it's more of an overarching idea of society and the workforce and capitalism and all that stuff. So, I mean, obviously not only an amazing song, but also an amazing music video, which is one of the earliest animated music videos ever made. If you haven't seen it, folks, I'm pretty sure the Pink Floyd thing won't let us put it on here, but you can.
You get a better chance getting a Disney song on here than getting a Pink Floyd song on here.
Hey, we have a better chance of showing the Nintendo.
Yeah, we get a better chance of
gameplay
getting
footage
Dylan
on
back
here
in town.
than letting anyone. Snowball's chance in hell sounds pretty nice compared to that. But no, Pink Floyd obviously one of the all-time great bands, and although again being super popular, but having lyrics and motifs that are countercultural and subversive. So I would have been remiss if I didn't mention that, but I did not realize.
Well, even Another Brick in the Wall, that whole album is also very against you have to do this thing, and that one I believe is
the entire album, The Wall. I mean, literally all their albums, Pigs, I mean, Animals, The Wall, it's all like, fuck you, fucking, yeah.
Great band.
It's great. But also, it's not, although I love punk because of its message and its aggression, and like punk is more about like giving you the feeling. Pink Floyd, it sounds mellow, but the message is much more detailed and thought out, where all the punk rules is just like, fuck you, and you can feel it hitting your chest. Pink Floyd, you're sitting back smoking a doobie and they're telling you about how you're just like another cog in the machine. So I fucking love it, man. It's good stuff.
No, that's right.
So I'm sorry to revert us back there, but I had to mention Pink Floyd. Yeah. The Wall, Animals,
so
obviously, Dark Side of the Moon, all that.
Back into the 80s here. I'm doing late 80s. Ladies. Yeah.
Ladies.
What's cooler than being cool? Ice cold.
What's cooler than being cool?
All right. Okay.
Okay, now.
Yo. Okay. This one is this is definitely not the genre I usually listen to, although I do like this group's music and some other groups from this era. And
the Dixie Chicks come back again. On
they're
the
great. You ever heard their version of "Life Is a Highway"? It brings me to tears every time.
I haven't heard that, but I do know I want to ride them all night long. I'll see my way out.
Oh boy, what are we gonna do with you? But this song is, I think,
what are we gonna do?
A different style of rebellion, but one of probably the most aggressive one out there, and that is.
I'd argue it's the same style, but it's just done differently. Again, as we go on, the subtext started here, where it's like, here's the idea of it, and as we go on in history, the subtext just becomes the text and actually overcomes the text and just becomes, I'm just telling you exactly what I mean. I'm not sugarcoating it. I'm not even being poetic. I'm just making you feel the shit. Feel what I mean.
And I think this is. I think this is.
I'm just
the
guessing
most
what you're going to say,
impressive
but I haven't.
Song on the list, and that is "Fuck the Police" by NWA.
Yeah, just right there. I mean, that's just obviously it's controversial as shit. But again,
I mean, they got banned from performing at the concerts, and they did it anyways, and they would get arrested for doing it. And they're like, good, arrest us. Yeah. It's going to show the point better.
Yeah, it just makes us. This makes us more
strong.
It
makes you stronger, Kelly Clarkson.
Oh, shouldn't be attributed to her at all. Although it is a song. She wasn't talking about a police oppression. She was talking about her boyfriend.
That's what "Fuck the Police" is about too.
Which is an internal struggle. It's always good that way too. But yeah, no, "Fuck the Police" has to be on the list. I actually thought you were going to talk about another band, but it's around the same exact time, and it's a similar idea. And that is, but no, NWA. First of all, their name alone is.
It's so bad. Well,
yeah, it's aggressive as
fuck.
fuck.
There was a controversy in that too, not just in the way you're thinking for what the first word actually is, but the fact that when they came out and they're like, we're
the
NWA,
attitude part,
and
right?
people were like, oh, no whites allowed? That's racist. They're like, that's not what it is.
That's not what it is.
Honestly,
it's even more than that.
That's what we're saying.
Yeah. Now you know why we have the A, because of shit like this.
No one could have shit like this without their A.
Exactly. But what I thought you were going to say is Public Enemy's
Fight the Power,
song,
1990.
Fight the Power.
That's after.
That's after it. That is so surprising to me.
You're like,
wow.
Either that's way earlier or way later than you expect. It's almost it's almost never.
In my head, it's like I have a.
It's either earlier or after.
Yeah. Wow. But either way, I didn't mean to. I mean, obviously, we want to talk more than NWA.
Both of them were on my list.
Yeah, but anyway, Public Enemy. We're talking about Chuck D,
the ultimate hype
and
man.
their group. Yeah, Fight the Power, and it's a similar time. It's when obviously we've come from people writing like compositions and soldiers rebelling to folk singers or rock bands that are predominantly white and playing white people music that has been derived from black music, of course. But now we're into the era of rebellion, which is, everyone has a seat at the table. I mean, there is no way a black band in 1960 could have wrote like, fuck the white people, fuck the American government, they oppress us. That would have been completely subverted. You have to have people like Jimi Hendrix being like, he's really good at guitar and he's basically white enough for us to play his shit and kind of rebel in that way. Or Bob Marley has to be from Jamaica being like, white folks, do you like this music? I'll sing it all happy for you when I say you gotta fight for your rights. And they're like, all right, okay, we got it. But you go from that was palatable,
to people being right in your face.
For the common man.
This is it.
And now we literally have fuck the police coming straight from the underground. Like literally fuck you, like right in your face. And that's why there's always a pushback. Even at the time of Buffalo Springfield is a pushback. And there's always going to be a pushback. And that's how you know you're doing the right fucking thing. Because if you're trying to push back against the powers that exist and they go, oh, that's great, that means you're not doing it.
Yep.
That means that you're doing what they want you to do.
It's not very well known at all. I forget the artist is, but it came out the same year as For What It's Worth, and it's called Nothing's Happening Here. And it just, for some reason, it did. They're like, this place is great. We really like it. There's nothing to complain about. And they were like, fuck that.
Yeah. But, I mean, and the fucked up part is that it's not that the powers are going to fight you for it. People among you are going to fight you because they're doing what they want to do. Like, when people are singing the Vietnam shit, there were so many people in America who are like, you don't say that about Vietnam. It's like, I'm the same as you. You're fighting for these rich folks. And it's the same thing when, Fuck the Police comes out or, Fight the Power by Public Enemy. It's like, oh, these fucking black people are getting way too out of hand. Like, you need to appreciate it. It's like, literally, he's talking about you, Nancy, who works for Walmart. Like, it's you, too. It's not. I love how it's not that the powers are looming down on you. It's that the powers have people that are on your level working for them too, being like, you don't say that. Why? Who cares about you more, me or the fucking Walmart and Costco and everything else? It always makes me sick, the idea that people are so bought into shit. I'm not saying you have to be like protesting or violently rioting, but the idea that you're siding with these billionaires who could give two shits less about you, and if they could get 2 cents more per year by crushing your skull slowly with a steel boot, they would do it happily. It wouldn't even be like, oh, I don't know, it's kind of vain. No, they would do it. But then when people talk shit about them, you go, oh, no. That could be me one day. Don't talk shit about billionaires. I could be that one day. That's the real American fucking lie. Like, be like, we could all be that. No, you couldn't. If for all that, then nobody's super. They need you to be a dumbass who listens to their shit. All right. I can't. I was not getting on my high horse. We're literally talking about rebellion here. I knew I was going to get wound up. I'm wound up.
All right.
I'm fully wound.
I was going to say,
clock.
I think we should take a break before we get
our last commercial break
into the 90s.
And then we'll get into the modern era. To when we're alive. And we'll be like, I remember this song.
Break.
Something happening here. What it is ain't exactly clear. There's a man with a gun over there, telling me I got to beware. I think it's time we stop here. What's that sound? Everybody look what's going
Welcome back, folks, to America's favorite podcast, Toilet Wine. We've been talking about rebellious music, rebellious songs throughout history, and we've run the gamut for old Flutie war tunes to Doug Flutie's favorite tunes, including Holiday in Cambodia, which Doug Flutie said was his favorite song in college. So, and it's weird, it's strange, but we're back, we're talking about it, and now we're finally reached the era of music history where me and Dominic were alive for, and I imagine most of our listeners have finally caught up with us here. With songs that they remember hearing on the radio or coming out and shit like that.
And a lot of these, I think at least the next couple, we were alive for it. We weren't old enough to know it until years later, but it was still popular enough that we got to hear it 10, 15 years later.
Yeah, we didn't even if we had heard the song, we could figure out like the title of it, whatever. We didn't know what it was really about, until you really get into it.
Accuser of the fucking brethren, you motherfucker!
So my next song here comes from the band that may as well be the kings of this list. I mean, not only did they come out with multiple songs that could be deemed as rebellious songs, they basically not only made that their entire brand and motif, they named their fucking band this idea. And that's the band called Rage Against the Machine. I mean, their band name is Fuck the Police, the band.
It's not just like, oh wow, they had every couple years they had like good songs. No, they had 3 albums where every single song was political, and every single 4 or 5 hits off each album.
And they were aggressively going after him.
Right in front.
I mean, for every Ohio that Neil Young had, he had a song called Cinnamon Girl. So let's not act like his whole career was that shit. But Rage Against the Machine, I mean, almost all of their songs
are so good.
Definitely their whole message was fighting the power around the same time.
This will be good. I believe I picked a different Rage Against the Machine song because I decided to go a little outside of what would be. So what was what's the first one that you have written down for just to define Rage Against the Machine?
Well, Bulls on Parade.
That's the one I had also.
Yeah, that is literally every lyric is like an anti-establishment rally cry. Every you can break out. There's different sections of the song. Obviously, it goes hard. It has that punk aggression of you're feeling the music. It's not subversive. It's not subtextual. It is subversive against society, but it's not trying to sneak it in. It's hitting you in the face with the hard rock and the drums and the fucking wailing by Morello. But it's literally fucking every lyric is
it's full on. What don't you like? I don't like people that are using money to avoid problems that the rest of the world has.
Yeah,
that's the fucking. I mean, and not to mention, even to make the music video, they did an impromptu. Well, they didn't announce it. They just showed up and like said to people like, "Show up here this time." They played the song in front of the stock market, and they all got arrested for doing it. And that's what the music video is.
Exactly what you want. Yeah, like that's what you want out of like a countercultural band. Like we're mentioning in this whole podcast, all this. Here's one song. Here's another song. Here's the idea of it. But like Creedence was playing stadiums, and Rage Against the Machine was playing those too. But they were also playing in front of the stock market to be like they were not just, and I guess are even now, not just a band to be a band that has songs about rebellion. They put their money where their mouth is, and their guitar picks where their ideas are, and they go in front of the stock market. And they fucking they just played the writer's strike last week. Like they are always about
They're
that. They're
still into it, and that's why much.
They're still into it. And that's why it's so funny that now all these fucking old guys who came up with this music as a kid on the radio, which again, if your music's that popular, the music's just popular, and people might not even realize what you're talking about. They just go, "Oh, I'm into it," like, I'm into the rock and roll," not realizing, like, yeah, all this shit that you're sucking dicks about, we're against that shit, and like all the fucking internet stuff being like, "I can't believe one of my favorite bands just gone all woke." It's like, what? They've always been against the government. You think it happens
the entire time? Tom Morello has a fucking bachelor's degree in political science from Harvard. He knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, golly. Weapons, not food. No, not homes, not shoes, not need. Just feed the war, cannibal animal. Like it's right there in front of you.
Animal,
not being secretive about it. They're right there.
And not to mention, it's gone. Don't know what I was gonna say.
It's cone.
I mean, they've been arrested multiple times. They're fully invested in this is their thing. They're not just like, oh, I wrote a couple of protest songs. Like, no, our whole thing is we're protesting all the time. And they're one of their other hits, "Testify," off of Battle of Los Angeles, 1999.
Oh, "Testify," another great one. Yeah, they're all basically all of this. You can use any song and be like, that's their one. Oops, all hits. Oops, all rebellion.
That whole song, "Testify," is about media news going after the stories that will make them more money, more ratings, something, instead of reporting what's actually happening.
Give us the goods. Yeah, absolutely. Well, so my other "Testify" is a great other pick for them. We can't just name one of them, but the other one I have besides "Bulls on Parade" is "Sleep Now in the Fire," which is another great fucking.
Also, another thing I'm happy about, we spit "Bulls on Parade" and "Sleep Now in the Fire." For the non-protest side of it, two of my favorite bass lines in any of their songs. Like, both of those songs are in the top 5 because Tim Commerford is one of my favorite bassists of all time. I mean, "Bulls on Parade" is so aggressive. It's fucking awesome. I completely fucked that up, but it's okay.
No, I gotta read at least one stanza of "Sleep Now in the Fire," which is "The lie is my expense, the scope of my desire. The party, capital P, bless me with its future, and I protect it with fire. I am the Nina, the Pinta, the Santa Maria, the noose and the rapist, and the field's overseer, the agents of Orange," obviously a reference to the Vietnam War, "the priests of Hiroshima, the cost of my desire." It's a song about being the weapon and will of the powers that be. It's fucking awesome. It's great. It's fucking great.
They're so good.
And also, it's a great song, too. It's not just the lyrics. Like, having a slam poetry session at the Harvest Cafe is not the same as also writing a fucking sick rock song and being different than any other band. Because plenty of other bands I'm sure we never heard of were saying the same things at the time. But it takes not only the wherewithal, the gall to get arrested, and the lyrical talent, but the musical talent, like Morello going nuts with the guitar.
It's insane. I mean, it's not
the almost rap style. Like this is just parts of the song they're just doing slam poetry.
It's not just how good they are at singing about rebellious stuff and knowing other facts. They created a genre of music in the process.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's rock, it's rap. Tom Morello's doing stuff people have never even heard of. He's plugging into pedals backwards to get certain sounds out of it. They got funky bass lines, hard punk-like drum beats. It's such a unique thing too, and it's one of the reasons why it's still still these songs
So
are
popular
played
now.
on the radio today.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
a lot of people,
it's just with good
how
reason.
many people just don't even realize it's even political?
Yeah, and it's fucked up enough that as many political songs or rebellious songs are on this list, it's still as relevant today as the day they wrote it. In fact, it might be more relevant, like, which is sad, but it's
I definitely think it's more relevant. So I got another Rage Against the Machine. I think it was inevitable we were going to do a little segment just on them.
I mean, they're the fucking George Washington of this list.
And this is off of,
because they have wooden
this
teeth.
is the third album. This was the first album. The way we're doing it in order, so long we mentioned it was second, third, now first album-wise for all the music nerds out there. This one is off their debut self-titled album, which their most popular song, which we haven't mentioned yet, is on there, but I like this one better, and that's Take the Power Back. I don't think I need to tell you what it's about.
Yeah. Yeah. Literally, it's in the title.
But a nice set of lines out of this one. In the right light, study becomes insight, but the system that dissed us teaches us to read and write. So-called facts are fraud. They want us to allege and pledge and bow down to their God. I mean, what's more direct than that? It's like, they're telling us what to do. We shouldn't necessarily do what they're telling us to do. We should be able to do what we want and have our own minds. It's supposed to be a free country.
Yeah. It's like you said already, it's been gone so far away from, like, the sarcasm or, like, the slipping it and being like, I ain't no senator's son. It's like, no, fuck the senators. We shouldn't have to go to war. Like, they're just straight up saying it, but they're saying it in a poetic way, and they're hitting those fucking bass lines in the meantime.
Boom, boom, boom,
But
boom,
not
boom,
the
boom,
in the
boom, boom,
meantime
boom,
bass
boom,
line.
boom, boom, boom. Oh, boom, 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 boom.
So yeah, I think that we can keep talking about them. We could do a whole podcast just on Rage Against the Machine, but I think that is a sufficient amount of us talking about the, the forefront of rebellious music.
Yep.
Literally, they named the band after it, so you can expect that as much. And they're still doing it today, which is also sick. In 2023, they're still out there. Protesting, and we out here. So you got to appreciate when people put their money where their mouth is. And
got to appreciate to graduate.
Because everyone's a fucking hypocrite, including me. So it's always nice to see when people aren't hypocritical. It's nice.
So you
want to do the next one, or I did introduce that, but it was both.
I think you should go because the next one I have written down it's a big jump. Years wise.
Well, my next one is another band, and I'm sure that because of the spread of the internet, a lot of subversive or anti-authority music is more popular than ever now, and I'm sure there's literally millions of artists that I had never heard of that probably have great music like this. And if you do know it, please comment on it or send an email to djbasementpodcast@gmail.com. I'd love to hear all about it. But my next one is my favorite band of all time, which was not an American band.
We're an American band. We're coming
heritage,
to your town.
but
we're gonna ride it up. Sorry, I love Grand Funk
because
Railroad.
they were formed in America.
Honestly,
and they are American in that way.
I didn't even think of putting any of their music on the list. I'm ashamed.
Yeah, well, I figured you would, but you know what I'm talking about. This band, because they were in America, they had the ability and the freedom to do this not without scrutiny. A lot of fucking scrutiny, especially when the list gets later on, because I'm going to bring up their later songs, because even their earlier songs were about, songs like the prison system in America, the Armenian genocide, things like that. That's all the earlier shit. What I'm going to bring up is their song that they came out with circa 2003 when America entered the war in Iraq for no fucking reason besides corporate sponsorships. Middle Eastern people hit the towers. Let's invade Iraq. Okay, well, good thing everyone's stupid in America. We're going to agree with this shit. I'm talking about the song Dreaming by the band System of a Down. And the song Dreaming isn't about, this is more of a subversive, I keep saying subversive, it's all subversive. More of a subtextual lyrics. It's not about fuck the system. They literally have a song called "Fuck the System." I mean, what more do you want than that?
On the album called "Steal This Album."
Yeah, which is based on the Abby Hoffman book "Steal This Book," which is one of the countercultural guys from the '60s, which you were talking about earlier. Also, we should have mentioned earlier that Woody Guthrie, who wrote "This Land Is Your Land," he wrote on his guitar, famously, "This machine kills fascists." Yeah. That was his guitar when it said.
And Tom Morello also
carrying on the tradition.
What he does, because he doesn't have an acoustic guitar, so on the back he has like a regular piece of paper that he takes. No, it's regular 8.5 by 12, whatever the measurement is, piece of paper that he writes on with Sharpie and duct tapes it to the back of his guitar, and he changes the messages between different shows. But he takes his guitar and he flips it up. So he has to have it so it's upside down if he's looking at it. So he can flip it up.
Yeah, right.
Like, when I saw The Prophets of Rage, which was Rage Against the Machine, but instead of Zach De La Rocha doing lyrics, it was Chuck D and Be Real. It was
awesome. Chuck D, we already mentioned, is from Public Enemy.
Also, DJ Lord was the DJ for Public Enemy. He also worked with Prophets of Rage. Yeah. Feeling good on a Wednesday. But when I saw them specifically, he lifted it up, and it was just a piece of paper with red letters that just said, "Fuck Donald Trump." And he flipped it up, and people were like, "Oh, I wonder who he doesn't like." It's like, yeah, it's like we've been saying. Right. They're just shoving it in your face now. It's because people are so desensitized to that. If you do it subtle, they're not even going to know. They don't even notice it when it's out in the open.
Yeah, subtlety is gone. You just have to yell people now. And also you're allowed to yell, so people are okay with it. But so I want to dive down on this this awesome song called "Dreaming" by System of a Down. So this is, even at the time, they had a lot of pushback against them. They were one of the bands, much like the Chixie Dicks, Zach Galifianakis' band, or the Dixie Chicks, the band that was a country music star. They were top of the Billboard charts. And they were against the Iraq War, and they had a lot of fucking pushback. Because even though it was 2 years after 9/11, people were still fresh. They still didn't like Arabic people or people in the Middle East. And the idea that you would be against a senseless war was un-American. And you couldn't stand for it. So they took down the Dixie Chicks with this, and the similar thing happened with System of a Down, which is always funny because the Dixie Chicks, you can say, okay, they're country music stars, and they decided to be political. System of a Down's name is System of a Down. It's in the name.
Yeah, it's not quite as obvious as Rage Against the Machine, but it's there.
No, but it's close. We're not going to be like the Pet Shop Boys. It is what it is. And this song is about basically a soldier going to Iraq and what happens when you go there. It's like dreaming of screaming, someone kicking me out of my mind. I hate these thoughts I can't deny. She lost her mind. Someone kicked her into the back of the line. She lost her head. When they called and they said that they thought he was dead. Dreaming of screaming. Someone kicked me out of my mind. I hate these thoughts I can't deny. Basically, being put in this position for no fucking reason and being tortured beyond belief to deal with these moments. And the family members who are back home having to deal with it. And this was a fucking banger, by the way, if you haven't heard it.
It's fucking awesome.
Vocals on the right. So yeah, this is out of the album Hypnotized, which came out mid-Iraq War. Yeah, so, and obviously their album before that came out. BYOB is about going in the desert and fucking getting killed.
It's not.
It's right
way,
there,
folks. That's not bring your own beer. BYOB.
No.
It's bring your own bosoms.
So yeah. So System of a Down definitely deserves to be on the list of rebellious music.
So while we're talking about System of a Down, this is an album, 2 albums before Hypnotize, with Toxicity and the song Deer Dance, which is, a absolute fan.
I still think you play this all for the podcast if YouTube wasn't such fucking bitches about it.
Yeah, it's, again, people watching, if you don't know these songs,
just look
it up. And if you haven't heard it in a while, but you know, listen to it again.
Don't forget, it's not just the lyrics. You're not just listening to like a poetry session. If the songs weren't good, we wouldn't even care about them. It just happens to be they also have great messages, but they're, Fortunate Son. that song's a banger regardless of the lyrics. It could be like, you know me, macaroni and cheese. It would still be a great song. But it's not that. It actually has a message to it. And that's what cuts through the bullshit. Because anyone can just bitch about stuff. But if you can have a nice artistic message and make it
it's not just the
compelling.
fact that macaroni and cheese. It's also the voice you used. That would be like if Duncan Trussell redid Fortunate Son. The way you said that.
Me, man. Macaroni and cheese, man, right? That's crazy, man.
But back to System of a Down. And shameless shout out. If you do not know who Duncan Trussell is, look him up. You're going to love it. Especially if you think this podcast is good, you're going to think his podcast is the best thing you've ever heard. Because, he's actually good at stuff. But Dear Dance by System of a Down, off Toxicity, 2001. It's a song.
A Grammy-winning album, which will never happen again. If like metal, countercultural metal comes out anymore, no one even fucking knows what it is. But at the time, much like in the 60s, that type of music wasn't just important, it was popular. It was popular, which means a lot. System of a Down was one of the biggest bands in the world when it came out.
Huge. And again, it'll never happen again, and it would only ever...
That's why you win Grammys.
Come out of the 90s.
You don't have to be good. You have to be popular and good.
Yeah. But so Dear Dance, it's about police brutality. It's the entire song, basically what it's about. The police when we have protests and they turn them into riots, or someone's not doing anything really that bad and you take deadly force into it. I mean, even just the beginning of the song, how it starts. Circumventing circuses, lamenting in protest to visible police, presence-sponsored fear, battalions of riot police with rubber bullet kisses, baton courtesy, service with a smile. Beyond the Staples Center, you can see America with its tired, poor, avenging disgrace, peaceful, loving youth against the brutality of plastic existence. It's just...
I mean, that's the first part of the song.
They're saying, hey, you're hurting us. You don't need to do this. What the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah. And if you're not realizing it, it's because they've got you lulled into a sense of hypnotism. Like you need
even just breaking down baton courtesy. They're like, oh yeah, no, this is good. This is helping the country.
Yeah.
Service with a smile.
Service with a
They're
smile.
enjoying being paid to beat the fuck out of people.
Yeah. Beyond the Staples Center, just beyond the bread and circuses, you can see America. Like, it's beyond that fucking shiny Hollywood shit. Like, it's there. Yeah, no, it's awesome. I mean, I can see a lot of people being like, all right, enough of that. But, like, not only is it great lyrics, this is what rebellious music is about. It's you have to be talented. You have to be artistically inclined, because that kind of shit doesn't make it to the spotlight. No. You have to be that good at it to make it popular. Anyone can whine about stuff, but you have to deliver it much in the way you have to fight hard to rebel against whatever you're rebelling against. Yet you can't just fight half-ass. To fight hard in music, you have to create beautiful compositions and banger songs to really get through to people. You can't just say, here's a song, it's Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, but the lyrics are, fuck the government, eat the rich. Yeah. Like that's not worth anything. You have to really nail it. And it can really strike people deep within their loins, as it were. Are you done with that one?
Yeah, that's the end of that for me. I don't know if you want to do...
My next one, I think that Dom should say it, because my next one would be one of his favorite bands of all time, which happened, I think, a year after this, but it's around the same time. George Bush was president at the time.
Well,
out of San Francisco.
Oh, okay. So, you're talking about this album that came out in 2004.
Verde Diaz. Diaz Verdes.
This band is another band that I think people don't realize how long they've actually been around. They started out as Sweet Children in 1986.
Right.
Can
you believe that shit? They look so pretty. They're pretty young boys, even in their 40s.
And they had the two guys, singer, guitarist, and the bassist.
One cup.
And they didn't actually have a drummer. And it was actually the drummer of another band early record label producer from that area. Like, hey, you should have this guy drum for you. They're like, oh, okay, and they've had the same lineup of them three. They've added more people since then. Since the late 80s.
Uno, dos, tres, cuatro, cinco, cinco, seis. That's right, we're talking about the Offspring.
Which also started around the same time. Also, Metallica is only like 2 years older than Green Day. And I'm assuming you're talking about...
Metallica was like mid-80s.
You're talking about...
I'm talking about Green Day, of course. We got
their song. Oh, no, you got to do American Idiot. You're talking about American Idiot.
I'm talking about American Idiot. I was going to say
Holiday, because that is also a sneakily political song.
But it's off the same album, right? Yeah, I'm talking about that album. Yes. American Idiot is the song I was thinking of, but that whole album is all.
It's also a rock opera version of. It is.
And they literally made an off-Broadway play about it and an on-Broadway play about it called American Idiot. So it is that. So I don't want to talk about it because you are more of the authority on Green Day, so I'm going to cede it to you. But that needs to be talked about. It's that time in America, the time we pined for when we were still mad at people who weren't from our country instead of ourselves.
Yes, and
and people pushed back.
The album starts off with American Idiot. I actually remember personally being at Roller Kingdom in Hudson and asking the DJ to play American Idiot, and he said we were 10 years old probably. Like, can you play American Idiot? Like, we had to build up our courage to go talk to this adult stranger who's probably like 17. It's be like, we want to hear this song. He goes, no, they hate America. I won't play anything by them. It's like, what?
He's a patriot Roller Kingdom DJ. Not in my Roller Kingdom. This is the Roller Kingdom of America. Which is funny because it's not Roll on America, which you'd think that would be, It's natural.
But no, so the first song out of American.
Wow, a bunch of kids walked up and he goes, I won't play your anti-government bullshit. And that was, it's easy now to look back and be like, if I was that age at the time, I would have gone against it. But it's hard to say that because at the time, many adults in America were on board that shit and they didn't want to hear shit like that. But at the same time, American Idiot was one of the top albums of the year, and they won Artist of the Year many times that year between MTV Movie Awards and the Grammys and the fucking VMAs and all not the MTV Movie Awards, but they won a bunch of shit.
Yeah,
they were great. It was the same year that Fall Out Boy came out, and Green Day won. Like you said, 20 years after them coming out, they still won Album of the Year over all the new artists that were the hot young kids. Because they were the hot young old men. They were killing it.
Recapture what they got out of that album.
Well, yeah, because they that was their last punk move. They've never been punk since then. They've always been chasing that shit ever since. And they actually recaptured their punkness way later than any punk band. I don't think any punk band has been able to be punk as late as Green Day.
No, the closest...
the Sex Pistols didn't come out with an album in 1990 called "The Queen's Still Alive."
Because they did one album.
Like you have like a 5-year window, and then you're it. That's your thing. But Green Day was the exception to that. They way later they're like, all right, let's make a magnum opus. We're doing it again.
A punk band lasting more than 10, 15 years is rare.
Absurd.
I say the closest.
Because how can you keep that fervor?
Yeah,
up?
you can't be pissed off forever.
You get older, you go.
Eventually, you're like,
cares?
all right, I'm not doing this anymore. I've been trying for 15 years. No one listens. Whatever. The closest to this would be Rancid, who did really good in the early 2000s. But even Green Day is still extremely relevant. Three
way bigger than. I love Rancid because you showed me them, but like Green Day is
Green Day played before the NHL All-Star game. Like, they're still relevant.
Awesome. And America loves them, even though they're against George Bush, which now is sexy to be against George Bush. But at the time, it was very fucked up. Because if you were against George Bush, it means that you love Osama bin Laden, which is un-American.
And starting off with the first song on the album, which is the same name as the album, American Idiot, they were really, again, right in your face. Not only is it saying, well, a lot of Americans are dumb, they're saying, the president's he's an idiot. He's dumb because George Bush kind of you can't fool me twice. You know, he couldn't do anything.
Yeah, you can't fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice. Yeah, no, I mean, it is insane that now. At the time, it was so fucked up to go against him, but now, like, even people who vote for him are like, yeah, it's, you know, it's like, what? You were crucifying people over that shit, but now you're all good with it, huh? Okay.
And even looking at some of these words, it's don't want to be an American idiot, don't want a nation under the new mania. You know, that's them like hyping everyone up. We need to go to Iraq. We need to go fight this war. That there was no reason for it anyways.
Yeah, it's a mania. It's a high energy, bad decision.
Hey, can you hear the sound of hysteria? The subliminal mind fuck America, which I always thought it was my fuck. It's not mind fuck. Like, yeah, they're fucking with you. Welcome to a new kind of tension all across the alien nation where everything isn't meant to be okay. Television and dreams of tomorrow. We're not the ones who are meant to follow. For that's enough to argue. I mean, how can you be? They're like, America's this. It's all against
top album of the year.
Insane. And that's the first song out of a 14-song album.
Yeah, and it wasn't just because it was a bop. It was that these lyrics in this album is speaking to people who listen to music. If you go home and you're watching Walter Cronkite, that doesn't exist anymore, you're not listening to Green Day, so you might be mad about it, but the people in America who give a fuck are not only into the tunes of it, they like the message.
And this is the second song on the album, Jesus of Suburbia. This is more just diving into another Burbia. Burbia. You know, it's one person kind of being like, well, I don't want to be like everyone else. I have all these other things going on. It's fucking me up. I don't care. And I'm the son of rage and love, the Jesus of Suburbia. The Bible of none of the above on a steady diet of soda pop and Ritalin. No one ever died for my sins.
Yeah.
I mean,
soda pop and Ritalin is America's diet.
Absolutely, especially early 2000s. Ritalin.
I know we do Adderall and LaCroix now, but it's the same thing.
It's all right there. But yeah, especially that whole album. I'm not going to do any more songs than that because it'll take way too long because every single one is worth diving into.
We could do a whole podcast on that, but just for the sake of brevity, we need to move on. But heard that great for sure, Dom, and definitely worth it. Definitely worth it.
So I'm going to do a big jump forward here, and this is the last song I have. And I know we.
Okay, well, I have two more.
All right,
but I must.
Yeah, do yours then.
My next one is Warbringer. This is a thrash metal. This is not big enough to be popular.
It is great, though.
All the songs up the whole time are popular enough. But I feel like this is a little bit... Because rock has basically given up his shackles on this, and I feel like rap has totally taken over this countercultural shit, which, fuck yeah, carry on the torch. Music needs to do this.
It changes constantly all the time.
I'm not saying all music needs to do this. Of course, yeah, it's not folk anymore. It's not flute music anymore. It's now rap. Rap is the counterculture music, which that's why most people are like, I don't want to hear that shit. Like, of course you don't want to. They're telling you to change your shit, of course. But I'm not as into rap as I am into metal. But yeah, no, Warbringer. I thought I'd bring up. They had a lot of good songs like this, but my favorite one for that is "Forgotten Dead," which is about the entire concept of war, but it's not a new thing. This song came out in 2010, 2009, something like that. A little bit after Green Day came out. And now we're, years into the Iraq War, still going out the Afghanistan War. But it's about the entire concept of it. And, they have all kinds of great lyrics. They're thrashing it up. But they're bringing that old thrash idea of, old Metallica and, Slayer. And they're bringing it into the modern culture and still doing it. And just telling you, the song is basically about the finality and the, unimportance of it is when you're part of this kind of struggle that you're sent into by these people. You just get in there and you're just another cog in the fucking machine. You get just slaughtered down. And, I got to read at least a lyric from it to bring it up. The whistle blows. You are forced to advance into oncoming machine gun fire. Caught in the blast when the mines detonate. Lifeless bodies hang from barbed wire. Stabbed in the guts by a bayonet. Blood chokes your scream. Another dying soul is laid upon the altar of mankind's greed. And that is basically the note going from Yankee Doodle Dandy all the way until now. It's like, just sign up, just get in there, and just fucking die for what they want you to do. And don't talk shit unless you're against us. And if you're not with us, you're against us. And as Anakin Skywalker taught us with Obi-Wan Kenobi as his teacher, only Sith
which in itself is an absolute.
And George Bush said the same thing. If you're not with us, then you're with the terrorists.
All right. Well, actually, I'm glad.
So, shout out to Warbringer for many of their songs, like "Living Weapon," "Shattered,"
Genocide,
"Forgotten
Total
Dead"
War.
as well.
They're great.
Yeah, yeah, they're all about celebrating war. People are like, how dare you? It's like, no, it's all getting the visceral reaction of it to be like, how fucked up is this? Really?
I'm very happy you brought up Warbringer because that reminded me, and as I said off during one of the breaks, I was ready to not even need a list for this time period. I'd think of stuff as we go. As you mentioned, Warbringer, and I'm surprised. I did find this full lyric, the whole lyrics right up here on the interwebs, which I'm happy about because I never knew all of them.
Ooh,
we have to give a shout out to I'm going to say about 2010, 2011 brainchild of Jeff Ramos, Cryptor.
Oh, fuck yeah. Of course. And thank you so much. I wouldn't even thought of it. They deserve a shout out because they deserve to be on this list.
Fucking great political song called Class War. And it's
Class War. I mean, and they are mostly in your face about
fuck
it.
They're
the
rich,
telling you what they want to
feed the poor. The class system is no more. We're fed up. The time is right. The twisted society ends tonight. It's all about.
I mean, that's right in your face.
Getting up, fighting.
And it's also a great tune. It sounds good to hear it. Yeah, this is in 2009. Yeah, I mean that is
to quote one Russell Weed.
Now, people are talking about Class War now today more than they were in 2009, and it's
to
just
quote one Russell Weed
because the classes are spreading further and further apart.
To quote one Russell Weed, who he helped Jeff a lot with this band and eventually was in the band on 3 different instruments.
Shout out Russell.
One time we were listening to it and he was like, I still can't believe we didn't get even just an offer a record deal just off of that song. How punchy it was, how meaningful it was.
People love it too. People, for the crowd, that was their favorite song, even though it wasn't their best song, like melodically or even lyrics wise.
But it
was the most crowd pleasing. Like people would throw their fist in the air and be like, "Fuck the rich, feed the poor." Like it was great. But also, I love the correspondence between "fuck the rich, feed the poor" and then it was "we're fed up." Even to be like you're being fed up is a double meaning between being like done with it and also being like have been fed. Like we're fed up and we've been fed up. Oh, I fucking love that shit.
Cryptor.
Thank you so much. I wouldn't have thought of that. Cryptor for the Class War. And luckily now, as I say sarcastically as ever, class warfare not a problem. We're all on the same page here. Let's keep pulling together.
Well, yeah, I mean everyone's equal. You know that. All right, what do you got next for your song?
I only have one more. Do you have one more? Mine is so recent. Mine is from. I don't know. Mine's so recent. You can't beat me. It's from 2000. Oh no, it's 2015.
My last one's newer than
2015. Yeah, one earlier. All right, okay, sick. So I bring it back to which is the modern example of rebellious music. There's always going to be more of this shit, and luckily we have more access to it than ever, and people have more ability to record it than ever, which is awesome. But the most popular brand of music that's going to be pushing back against the authorities is going to be rap music now, because no one really cares about metal anymore. And there's always going to be songs about that, and even Warbringer sells 1/10 of the records as your friend who has a SoundCloud album from Marlboro. But Kendrick Lamar, it deserves to be mentioned here for the countercultural example. He's winning Grammys. He's one of the most top-selling artists, and a lot of his songs are not only lyrically beautiful, but they have the message in there. And that's a song, "We're Gonna Be All Right," and it's all about the struggle of that remains.
All that
We're
remains.
going from Phil Oakes talking about "Love Me, I'm a Liberal" and Malcolm X got what was coming sarcastically, and now we still have one of the best rappers in the world today talking about things, as it were. When I wake up, I realize you're looking at me for the payout, but the homicide be looking at you from the face down. What Mac 10 even booming the bass down, scheming, and let me tell you about my life. Painkillers only put me in the twilight. I mean, it's basically talking about, like, even nowadays, as rich as he is, he's still fucking a rich black dude who grew up in America. Like, it ain't fucking over. And people are like, all right, shut up, you're so rich, you don't deserve it. But keep talking about it. Hey, man, he came from it. And if no one talks about it loud enough, no one will listen. So even people who get famous off talking about this shit, they go, okay, now you're famous, now stop talking about it. No, you can't. Tom Morello doesn't need to have unionization to make money. He's got a healthcare plan, but he's still out there at the picket line rocking it out. And I think Kendrick Lamar is one of the newer versions of that. He was one of the most top-selling artists in the world who wins Grammys, but he's still out there pushing back, man.
Yeah,
Push back.
it's still going on.
That's all I got.
I don't have much to say on that, honestly, because I don't know the song. But I do know Kendrick Lamar is good. So my last one is also from the Rap Variety. It's only 3 years newer than that one. 2018, Childish Gambino or Donald Glover's "This Is America."
Oh,
which
great
honestly,
one. Great pick.
The
Love
song
Childish
itself,
Gambino.
if you just listen to it, it's not that great. But when you watch the video that goes along with it, it adds.
It might be the worst song, like musically.
It's more, yeah. It's a visual.
But, like,
it's a visual.
The lyrics are
journey
so
with
hard.
Enough words that you're not
Yeah.
just watching silence. You're not watching scripted conversations.
It begs to be seen as a music video. Like you gotta almost watch a music video or else.
What it is,
it's almost like a short
it's mostly to recognize how often African Americans are, or black people, I don't know which one they prefer nowadays, how gun violence is,
I think it's black,
pushed more towards them than anyone else. It's, they're like, oh, well, if a white guy did this, it wouldn't be a problem. For the most part, and it's kind of true. He wears everything he does. The pants he's wearing are replicas of Confederate soldier pants. He does a pose with a gun that's direct reference.
They thought
to
out every single
cartoon
frame of
about
that.
slavery.
Out, yeah.
It's probably the most like history and accurate.
The kids dancing, get gunned down by an AK. It's so abrupt.
Because it's.
Yeah. I'm gonna just put this whole video in there right now. I just feel like it. And of course, you're gonna be like, "Oh, it's all preachy." Yeah, it is preachy. It's fucking art, dude. It's gonna be a little bit preachy, but it's. And again, it's not my favorite song by him. It's not even
the music
top 10.
Is great. I mean,
but the message is perfect for the list.
School shootings, police brutality, car bombs, everything's in it. People that aren't involved in the music are.
It's on the news every day.
Many people with
it's important.
Bags over their heads that are just going about their life. It is a bonkers, super meaningful music video. If you have never seen it, stop the podcast right now and watch it. It's so good.
It's worth watching. I mean, a lot of people, it was very controversial, like many of the songs we had on this list. When it came out, it's controversial, which means you're doing something. If people don't get pissed off at your message, then it means you're not doing anything important. Like, the reason people push back on you is because you're affecting them, and they're pissed off, which is it's a good thing if you're going to push your message forward. And I think that he definitely deserves to be on the list of all these other people with pushing back. And, of course, people are going to say, oh, well, you have it so good. You're rich now. I mean, what do you have to worry about? Just shut the fuck up and do your thing. It's like, well, yeah. Well, because he is rich and powerful now, he has the platform. I hate to say things like that. I feel like a fucking Twitter person. But it is true. Like, now you have the platform to be able to spread the message. So, if anything, you should say it now more than ever because people can hear you now. And you can't just complain about the struggle until you get out and then forget about it. Let's not be like O.J. Simpson and act like you're black until you get paid and then be like, oh, fuck it, now I'm white. I mean, come on, guy. Like, you got to keep talking. You got to keep preaching it. You don't have to act like you're struggling, but the idea that people can't talk about struggle just because they're not going through it anymore is part of the power system shutting people down. Because they want you to, once you're at our level, then you shut the fuck up about it, and you're on the easy street. If you stop talking about people struggling just because they can hear you, that's what they want. You have to keep talking about it because now they can fucking hear you.
Talk about it.
Yeah, that's what fucking sounds about.
So I did just remember I just thought of one more very last song to do before we do our traditional toilet wine toast to end the episode.
I do have to do a final thoughts, even though I know it's not.
Yeah, I'll let you do it.
But I have a overarching statement.
I'll allow it.
It'll only be like 2 minutes long, but I have to say something.
I'm running the show on this, which I'm still
not
used to, but it's okay. This is a great musician, not super well known. He does a lot of festivals, doesn't do a lot of regular touring. One of those deals where it's him. Mm-hmm. The band behind him isn't always the same, but they're all songs he wrote.
You're gonna say John Mayer.
Yeah. And he's really good in Dead and Company. He replaced Jerry Garcia better than anyone else.
I'm joking.
I've shown him plenty of videos from this guy. And it's Gary Clark Jr. And he has this song he went 2019 called This Land. And it's all about being a successful black man, having all this money, but people still treating you like, oh, you're nothing. It's about him having this plot of land in Texas, and it's paranoid and pissed off. Now that I got the money, 50 acres and a Model A, right in the middle of Trump country. I told you, there goes the neighborhood. Now Mr. Williams ain't so funny. I see you looking out your window. Can't wait to call the police on me. And a little down the line, he goes, fuck you, America, son, this is where I come from. He was born in this country. He's just as American as you are. There's no reason why you should be acting differently just because he's in your neighborhood now.
Of course. And his ancestors have been here longer than yours have.
Absolutely.
Everyone else forgets that shit. It's like, I was like, oh, you're black. It's like, my great-great-great-grandfather was here. You just got here, motherfucker. It's because your skin's white.
Also, one of the best guitar solos you have ever heard in this song.
Again, the message is great, but the music carries it. It carries it up, you know? It's like a rocket ship.
All right. I just had to add that in real quick, but yeah, let's have your, I think it's the first
I'm glad you did.
Toilet Wine official final thoughts.
I'm sorry that I thought about this episode as I do it for DJ BP, where I had an overarching idea beyond it, and I wanted to at least mention it now. Let's not call it final thoughts, just call it show.
We'll call it ending remarks.
Oh, well, even that seems like a Pepsi to the Coke. Final thoughts. I just need to say this for this statement because I recently watched a video of people in Iran who are in an upheaval right now. There's people aren't wearing hijabs. They're getting arrested for being part of political movements. And I only recently, watching that video, found out that it is an illegal act to sing songs in public. Which is like, what the fuck? You can't even sing songs in public? It doesn't matter what the subject matter is. You just can't be singing in public. Singing is meant for your home, like fucking your boyfriend in the ass. It's for home. Or beating your wife.
Imagine if in Iran they were like, no singing, but if you want to peg your boyfriend on the street corner, go right ahead.
That would be quite a upside down world. But I would like to hear that, what that goes like. But that's the idea. And it got me thinking about it, which obviously spurred me on to this idea of the podcast, which is that singing is like speech. In many ways, it's more powerful than that because it can be collated and picked up faster. like singing John Brown's body's lying dead in the grave. Like, you already have the idea, you have the song, and it brings you together, and the hearing the music can bring you to be one. It's an ancient human idea. Song and rhythm is as old as human culture. You can find different tribes in Africa who have been singing songs much longer
honestly,
than humans of today.
I wish I had
about
the exact info.
1,000 years.
Yesterday about a family in West Virginia, slave family that passed a song down only verbally for like 5 or 6 generations, and they actually had like some professor.
5 or 6 generations is like 200 years.
Yeah,
let's not
a long
skate
time.
over that too fast.
That's
a lot of years.
And he was like,
Yeah.
I've never heard anything like that. No one's ever used that. And they're like, yeah, we've been singing that for over 200 years. And it's never left their family until they were like, someone was like, there's no way you have a song that no one's ever done before. They're like, we have a song no one's ever done before. Yeah.
And we've been doing it for before there's radio.
It's never been
wild.
written. It's always been through word of mouth.
Yeah, that's... Which is the original way that humans passed on not only knowledge, but music. I mean, written music is so new. In the course of human history, music has been around as far as we understand and as far as we can intuitively understand.
Think about how advanced society has to be.
Like G
to
clef,
be like, all right, we have enough
notes.
instruments.
I mean,
we have enough of that we can be like, hear this? Well, let's make that an A. What about this one? Well, let's make that a B. But there's only so many.
We're actually ascribing what we already know.
It's like how humans made up numbers. Humans made up notes. It's all just it all just exists.
Yeah,
so
numbers have been there. We added
this is how we can track it, and we found a way to do it that is accurate and it works on multiple levels.
Right. It's dead on balls.
It's a technical term.
But yeah, so to finish my little speech here is just that I think that obviously this has been a huge part of modern culture, but it's been a huge part of human culture forever. Music is important to us. It's not only an important way to bring us together, it makes you feel things. I've had music make me laugh, make me cry, make me feel pumped up and angry. It's made me feel all those things, and it's an integral part of what it is to be human. As much as talking is, as much as laughing, as much as hugging each other, as much as going on a hike with each other, music is a huge part of humanity. And to shut it down, no matter what it says, is akin to murder. Do not shut down people's voices. Don't shut down fucking music. People should be allowed to sing out and sing proud, and that's part of being alive as a person. It's like letting a dog not chew a bone or letting a fish not go bloop, bloop, bloop. It's part of us. It's who we are. And I think that music doesn't have to be rebellious inherently, but rebellious music is part of what it means to be a person. And music isn't the same as yelling at your friends about what you should do. It brings people together in a way that talking doesn't. There's some kind of universal feeling you get. If you're singing a song together, it's a communal experience. That's why religion uses it so much, because it brings it beyond a level of talking. It's a level of community, and those notes hit you, and the rhythm hits you. And I think that not only is rebellious music so important for changing the world as it is today. I mean, all you fucking flag-waving motherfuckers, you're Yankee Doodle Dandies yourself, and you had to fight against the British. And if they outlawed the singing of Yankee Doodle Dandy, or if they outlawed the flute playing against the King George, you wouldn't be such a fucking bootlicker, would you? You'd be like, oh, no, that's the king. Fuck him. So I hope everyone out there realizes the power of music, and even if it's giving a message that you don't necessarily agree with, you have to let people sing. And that's why Wet Ass Pussy should be sang. I don't like the song that much. I'm not a big fan of it, but I'm all for people singing a song called Wet Ass Pussy, because it's just, that's music. It's part of being a person. People have to be allowed to talk. And if you don't want them to talk, or you don't want them to sing, it's because you don't want them to be who they are, and you're afraid that they're right and you're wrong. So,
all right, well, do you want to take one last quick break, as we usually do, to get prepared for our ending toast?
Yes. Yeah, I'm so sorry it went on so long. We'll see you for the last toast, folks. Pour your shots at home.
Fuck the rich, feed the poor. The glass system is no more. Time is right, with the note. The twisted society ends tonight. You to succeed, I fail. What is the need? Give to your greed, now cast you agree. You have ruined our life, now we'll stop the dreams at night. Look for a fight, we will make it right.
Here we are, the end of another episode of Toilet Lines. I think you all know how it ends. If you don't, go back and watch the other Toilet Lines. I think this is one of the fifth one.
Or just keep watching from here if this really sparked your joy.
This is true. If this sparked your ode to joy, then join us in how we end every Toilet Line episode, and that is with a toast. Usually we toast to a person, but this time I think we should just toast to rebellion in general. It's not always rebellion for the good. Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not, but it's an important part of humanity, and you should always be allowed to do it on certain levels. But it makes some...
Yeah, as long as you're not hurting people and killing innocent people, go for it.
And all the artists out there that are watching this, keep making great rebellious music. It makes for great music. And here's the toast
Vive la
to rebellion. And with that, thank you for joining us for another episode of Toilet Line.
Love you. I tried to play You Motherfucker, but it wouldn't play.
Keep that. One of the first ones is do. Oh, that's just him singing. It's you've got to. Come on.
Would you rather smoke weed for 3 months and die, or do chemotherapy for 2 years and die? I don't know. It's hard. It's a hard choice. I'm not saying it's an easy choice.
Well, just because the animal is the best movie I've ever seen.
Rob Schneider is a spirit animal, rated PG-13.
But he's gonna find
so much
out.
ayahuasca, buddy. The vaccine is poison. And the Beastie Boys, I know your rights to vote or to own a home, but also to party. We should stand up for our rights.
There's an even bigger band than the Beastie Boys that took some lyrics from this song.
I don't believe you. I already don't believe you because there's no bigger band than the Beastie Boys, but I'll go on your false premise on this journey.
Well, in All-Star by Smash Mouth, he does the whole intro, and he goes, "That's not why I'm here to talk to you, though. I'm here to talk about the draft."
He does like that.
Since the late 80s.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 6. That's right, we're talking about the offspring. That's the real American fucking lie. Like, be like, we could all be that. No, you couldn't. If we're all that, then nobody's super. They need you to be a dumbass who listens to their shit. All right. I can't. I was not getting on my high horse. We're literally talking about rebellion here. I knew I was gonna get wound up. I'm wound up.